So every 20 years in adult media, something changes dramatically. We get the VHS, we get the DVD, we get digital. And so now we're formulating something far beyond all that. If you're going to create adult stuff, it can't just be widely accessible by everybody who clicks, yes, I'm 18.
Yep.
Because they're not.
This is back to your story.
The real question is, are you ready?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
All right. Oh, Nicole, how have you been?
Oh my gosh, I've been so good.
Like, seriously, I first off, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I do really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me back again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do, once again, apologize about the technical difficulties this morning, but you're a trooper, and thank you.
Oh, no, it was fine. I felt worse about messaging you at 6:30 when I was up.
Oh, no. Well, I messaged you at 2 a.m. I was like
he's probably asleep.
I mean, it was totally fine. Yeah. No. It totally worked out, but I was like freaking out last night. I'm like, I gotta get this shit handled. But
it worked out.
No, it definitely did. It definitely did. And I'm so
glad.
excited that you're the first person on the podcast with these microphones.
I'm so honored.
Yes.
I was like, isn't this anyone else spoken to them?
Not yet. That's so funny. So what have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, what have I not been up to? Just doing Nicole stuff.
Yeah.
Like, reformulating my career and my focus and my my spiritual orientation, my practices, my awareness, my consumption, everything has changed. It's been dramatic and incredibly catalytic. I'm so grateful for COVID, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel guilty saying that because so many, squirrel.
Oh, there we go. Hey, Tyler, will you actually close the blinds behind me and throw that up? Thanks, brother.
I've been a little hard pressed to suppress my joy a little bit, or my public exaltation of my joy and my expression of it, because a lot of people have not fared as well or have not perceived a very pleasant experience.
Yeah.
So I am the opposite, on the opposite hand of that. I've just reveled in the chaos. I really like chaos.
Yeah.
Because I always know something good's going to come out of it.
Yeah.
See somebody on the freeway having a car accident, I'm like, their life's changing today. In one way or another, the hand of God just like, stop right here.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a positive way to look at it, right? Especially with all the shit that has gone on the past couple of years. It has been, very hard for some people, and some people have taken it and really flourished, and I think it's just kind of the outlook of how you perceive life, and then obviously your surroundings. For you being able to kind of, are you like reshaping your career? Like, what changes have come about since we talked last?
In a lot of ways, yeah. My comfort level as a woman, I guess, is very much to be behind the scenes, formulating something better for those who wish to be in front of the camera. That's where my heart lies, and I think that's where my innovation lies as well. I'm not really a visual creator. I think I am best serving my dharma, so to speak, by being behind the camera and creating something that just creates a better paradigm for adult entertainers. If I'm neck deep, 13 years deep in adult entertainment, I may as well just stick with it and create something better for a paradigm that is not really serving creators as well thus far.
Yeah.
But one of my partners on a project we're working with brought this to my attention the other day. Shout out to Sean. He said, Nicole, I've been studying the adult industry, and every 20 years, something media related comes in that dramatically shifts the rest of the paradigm. And I think that's what we're working to do. Thus far, it just hasn't really been that great, and we're getting a lot of backlash from a lot of different groups because it's chaos time.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're doing in this time, this day and age. Shit's hitting the fan in a really good way, but constructive way.
Yeah.
So every 20 years in adult media, something changes dramatically. We get the VHS, we get the DVD, we get digital. And so now we're formulating something far beyond all that. So I think the next paradigm is shifting. I think we've got a firm grasp on what that needs to be and how to create that just in a better modality for content creators to properly secure their content. And if you're going to create adult stuff, it can't just be widely accessible by everybody who clicks, yes, I'm 18.
Yep.
Because they're not.
Of course, they're not.
So, it's being in a physical body is everyone's God-given right. And yet it seems like our acknowledgement of the pleasure that the body is born with is denied to us. in a lot of different ways. And so I think that accessing adult media shouldn't really be what it is now.
Yeah.
It needs to change. It needs to shift a little bit.
I remember being a kid, and to access adult media, you had to find it in your parents' bedroom, right?
Yeah.
Now, at the click of a button, these 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds who all are connected to the internet through this thing right here, their phone, right, have access to adult media, all different types, and it's so easy to be able to bypass. Yeah, I'm 18. Like, there's no way you can totally ensure that someone's 18 years old unless they do something like ID me or something of that nature, right?
I feel like we're getting closer to that.
Yes.
And I think it's, the old way of doing things, just plastering the internet with explicit material, is not really the way to go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting, backlash from major credit card companies that are saying, no, we're going to try to regulate how you spend your money. So there's other ways to spend money. Yeah. There's other ways to, ensure that you have currency to spend that is not part of the current fiat currency system.
Of course.
So we're going to be going in a little bit of that direction. I think that's a little bit safer for those who wish to access the material that we're going to be producing.
Yes.
So there's better ways to do everything right now, that if it's kind of been bottlenecked a little bit, then you got to think outside of the bottle.
You have to.
Everything's kind of hitting the fan right now because the old paradigms just don't work.
No, not at all. Are you guys going to be accessing that through like crypto or?
Yep.
Okay.
We've already got a basis of the platform that I was like, I'll be the test tube. Let's design what I've got in mind for this. I serendipitously came across the best partnerships possible. I don't even know how incredible it was. Like the universe is just like, here you go.
Yes.
So just like really honorable, like-minded individuals that have the same goal for for this paradigm. So it's good. It's got a lot of possibility to it. It's not really just limited to adult. We've created something because I'm an adult entertainer. It's what I know how to do.
Yeah.
It's what I'm qualified to do. So I had to just go with, okay, this is what I know. This is what my fan base knows. Let's get everybody's perspective.
Definitely.
So we'll see. Yeah. So far it's called closertonicole.com. At the moment, it's going really well. And we know that the implications for it are far greater than adult.
Can we pull that up or?
If you'd like.
Yeah. Pull it up. So it's closertonicole.com, right? And what is the platform going to allow? Can people upload content? How does that work? Or is it your content?
What I have in mind for it.
Oh, there we go.
Is that, and pardon these photos,
you're fine.
They're outdated but so their access passes to these 5 NFTs
nice.
that we've designed. We've gone the full proper length to make sure that this is as airtight as possible.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of its kind. There's nothing else that exists like it. We've had other people say the same thing. There's nothing like this. And this has extremely immense, very broad spectrum implications for use. And so we're just excited to create something new, a combination of one thing and another thing, both things that are both highly sought after and people really like.
Yeah.
So let's combine them and make something really unique that doesn't allow that it's a little bit tighter of an entryway for adults to access.
Okay.
And it's a new thing. If you were to bring a 15-year-old into a bank and say, okay, here, handle your finances. Here's a teller, good luck to you. It doesn't work that way. So as with any new financial setup, like crypto is kind of really foreign to people. We have our Discord where we hand walk everybody really thoroughly through how to purchase, how to access, and how to gain entry to this content. There's also 5 exclusive scenes that you cannot find anywhere else. You can't find them on PH. You can't find them on the internet anywhere.
Yes.
They are as exclusive as you can get with media right now.
Wow.
So it's a nice combination. We're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
We really have an ethical mindset for this. It's not going to be perfect right out of the gate, but I figured I'd be the test tube so that moving forward, we can kind of say, okay, this is a hole in this, and we need to tweak this a little bit so that eventually when it's just closer to,
there we go.
we can fill in the blank with whatever entertainer or whoever wants to be a part of that and kind of be part of a branch off that tree.
Definitely.
So we'll see.
One of the biggest things I think in the adult industry, I mean, there's obviously a slew of issues, but having control of your content, right? Like with the access of Pornhub and, you know, all of these other avenues, how does that even work for like a content creator that just decides to work in the adult industry and not have their stuff blasted all over without getting paid for it?
Well, that's the hole in the industry that currently exists. That
Yeah.
we're very confident that we can fill in ways. You show up on set, you get paid a one-time fee, you never see another dime, and then immediately that material that you prepared yourself for, you shaved for, you tested
Yes.
for, they paired you with somebody who maybe you didn't really want to be with that day,
Yeah.
but you're there with them on set for their product. And then, okay, see you later. It's gonna be all over the internet for the rest of your life. There's no exclusivity. And I think that's where it's like, you know, we're creating adult content in a scene, in a studio with a director and with talent. It's a very controlled setting. It's a very safe setting in general.
Yeah.
We're all consenting adults with paperwork and tests and IDs. It's a very, very safe place to shoot this kind of material. But the way it's distributed and easily accessible to all, that it's great that everybody can see your beautiful content.
Yeah.
However, now everybody can see it forever.
Yeah.
And that company can then sell your product over and over and over, and you never see another dime.
No.
And if you end up becoming, you know, massively popular in one of your earlier scenes, you could still be profiting from. Wouldn't you want to choose that?
Of course.
For sure.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Or for example, if you're just a regular entertainer or influencer, for example, and you want to do a first, you want to extend yourself into free bodily exploration, and you want to move into the adult space, you should have a safe space to do that, securing your content and constantly earning residuals on it, no matter how many times it's sold.
There we go.
Forever.
There we go. That is so important. One second. Is the window closed behind us? Yeah. Will you text her and tell her to stop talking? Thank you. Sorry about that. My sister, maybe I think my sister, she doesn't sometimes get the memo, even though we have a shared calendar when I tell her that a podcast is happening. So I do apologize.
Oh no, I can't hear anything.
Well, I can hear everything. That being said, I think it's so important that you're utilizing technology with content creation, right? Because if I was in the adult industry and I was making content, and then I just got paid a one-time fee, and then it was blasted all over the internet, and all of these companies, all of these other businesses are making money off of my time, that would piss me off.
Yeah, it should, right?
100%.
When any time, for example, you know, Robert De Niro, Bruce Willis is seen in something, whether it's on Amazon, 30 years after they make the film, they're still making money off of it, but not adult.
No, not adult.
Not adult. So, but it's kind of a more like interpersonal, like a raw film and media. So
100%.
How are we not earning, you know, we're scrutinized for it.
Yes.
And yet highly sought after for it. And yet now you don't make another dime after that.
This is crazy. Tyler, look this up. How many people like watch adult entertainment videos a year, right? I believe the statistic is, and I don't know the exact numbers, but it is the number one most consumed piece of media in the entire world.
It's the purpose of the internet, kind of, right now.
100%. Here we go. Let's just see this real quick. What is that? What percent of the U.S. population watches adult entertainment?
100% give or take.
100% give or take.
That's pretty rough.
And the thing is that the leading stars in the adult entertainment world should be making as much as a Robert frickin' De Niro.
Which is interesting too. Like it's a cultural thing. I understand. That's where we are with body exploration, physical enjoyment, trusting your innate senses, trusting the body's wisdom. We're disconnected from all of that. So that completely makes sense that they would shun anyone who enjoys those things.
Absolutely.
Who is like, yeah, I love my body. I'm happy with it. I'm overjoyed to experience the wonderful feelings that it procures on its own.
Absolutely.
Like
100%.
if we weren't meant to have enjoyment from these lower organs that do certain things, they wouldn't do those things.
No, not at all. Not at all. What did you find?
Of course. If you, according to Forbes.com, the porn industry is worth $2.6 to $3.9 billion a year.
And there is no reason that people in the adult entertainment space should not be crushing it.
And that's just based on what porn people pay.
Yes.
What people pay for porn.
Yes.
You see people every day saying, I don't pay for porn.
Yeah.
I'll never pay for porn because I can access it for free.
And that's messed up.
And guess how to transform that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Closer to, right?
Closer to.
And right now it's closer to Nicole.com, but eventually it'll be closer to. And I love that idea. Kind of talking about the technology. How does that work? Like with the NFT space and the crypto space?
I'm in my naivete. I jumped in this and just hoped that I had some really awesome tech savvy folks that would join me on this journey, and I got them. So thankfully, for people like me who are new to who are learning their way through it,
of course,
and learning a new way away from the traditional banking and fiat currency system and stuff. We have this set up through the Discord to anyone who's new to the terminology and everything. You can just be really walked through it and how to do it in a really reasonable way.
I love that.
It's not going to take a bunch of time. It's not going to be confusing. It does take a little practice.
Of course.
It's like anything new. But if you're to send a 15-year-old into a bank to start their own financial shit, then they'd be lost too.
100%.
Learn something new.
And I love that you guys are taking this education approach, right? Not expecting every single person on the face of the planet that wants to access this platform to fully understand exactly what they're doing. And so by setting up a Discord channel and being there for guidance, right, I think is so important. And that's kind of one of the biggest things that does lack in the crypto space and emerging technology space, is that with all of this information being thrown at you, these acronyms and having to set up a wallet and
so
a cold storage, it's so scary and so intimidating. But the brightest thing out of all of that is that once you get it, right? And then you're in control. Right. And that's why I love cryptocurrency so much. Of your money, of your funds. And people just think of, that they're just listening to this like, oh, well, look at Bitcoin. It went from 60, 70,000 to 20,000. Well, you don't have to use Bitcoin. You can use USDC coin.
Yeah.
You can use GSUD coin. These things that are tethered, that follow a dollar to a dollar, right? But it's still, you're in control of your own money. And I think that is, back in 2016 when I first got into the crypto space, that's what attracted me. Right. And to see what, the Financial Reserve Company has done time and time again, just by printing and printing and printing.
The Federal Reserve's not even part of the United States
Not
government.
at all. Not at all. And most people don't know that.
That doesn't sound or feel right.
No.
So where is that? What is it? 26 trillion that they just lost?
Yep.
If I misplaced a couple $1,000, the IRS would lose their shit.
Yes, they would.
Because we're so highly monitored.
Yes.
Every bit of our financial transactions. But it's but we just chalk that up to, we can't do anything about it.
Yep.
And I think that everyone has grown collectively fed up.
Yeah.
Fed up.
Yes.
With this system that is hell-bent on suppression.
Yes.
And oppression.
Yeah.
There's a bigger overall theme, and it unfortunately needs to be unraveled, just like a very tightly knit
100%.
matrix or sweater, but just thread by thread.
Yes.
So I think that's what we have to be doing in every aspect of life. Every failed system or modality needs to kind of be unraveled and picked apart a little bit closer under a microscope.
Oh, 100%. There's this amazing book. It's called, we pulled this up. It's called The Creature of Jekyll Island. And it's about how the Federal Reserve was created. And I don't want to mess this up. I'll just kind of read it really quick once he pulls it up. But it's an amazing book that really breaks down how the Federal Reserve was created. Let's see.
The title alone is just ominous enough to catch my attention for sure.
Yeah. Tyler, will you read that?
This is a classic expose of the Fed that has become one of the best-selling books in the category of all time. Where does money come from? Where does it go? Who makes it? The money magician's secrets are unveiled.
Yep. And it's just, if you want to really digest and understand how the Federal Reserve was created, which is not a governmental agency, even though most people think it is, this is a fantastic book.
I'm going to have to read
it. Yeah,
that.
it's an incredible book. When I first started getting into crypto, this was like one of those books that was highly recommended to me, because then you just really start to understand the inner workings of this entire monetary system that is just built on fluff and bullshit.
And you kind of have to be pissed off to want change
Yes.
first.
Yes.
So those truths that are starting to kind of spill out a little bit, this like slow drip effect, is so effective because
Yeah.
the people that have never questioned anything for their entire lives, they're just lived completely complacent. As you're born, you get an education through the education that they allow you to receive.
Yep.
And within their structure, you get the job that they prescribe to you, the education they prescribe to you. You're in debt after you get that education,
Yep.
so you'll work the rest of your life paying it off.
Yes.
You'll retire and die.
It's absurd. I mean, even talking about education, right? It's the only thing when you file for bankruptcy that you still have to owe. There are countless people that are having their Social Security money docked for owing money
For information.
for information.
Paying for information. That is, on a side note, incorrect and outdated.
Of course. Yes.
Every textbook, every math book, every science book, every chemistry book is not up to date with the universal principles
Yes.
of math, science, chemistry, atomic structure, the quantum reality that we live in.
It's so weird. Like,
Every bit of history, every bit of human history.
Yeah.
It's insane.
well, and history is always written on usually the side of the winner, right? It doesn't really go into the other side. I mean, it's just bits and pieces. And this was brought to my attention the other day. I think I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience, and they were talking about it. And I was like, God damn, that does make a lot of sense. It's just like history tends to be always one-sided, and there are three parts to a story, right? There's their side, our side, and what's really the fucking truth,
Yeah.
right? And unfortunately, yeah, kids in school today are fed a one-sided piece of information.
And very watered down in the elements that are unfortunately having to be written into history books
Yeah.
for children to learn, where they're diluting it in a way to quickly pass over the fact that the entire system is built on genocide and slavery.
Absolutely.
And so it's devastating as a child when you feel that inclination of like, teacher, this feels nauseating,
Yeah.
but that's history. And it's like, wait a minute, but everything's built on that.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. So
No, you're correct. You're correct.
all in all, I'm so glad to be here right now.
Yeah.
I feel so well prepared to be here right now, to have lived the life that I've had, and to be here in the midst of all of this incredibly dramatic change, necessary change.
No, 100%. I mean, even with all the bullshit that's going on today, this is the greatest time that has ever been ever to be alive.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We haven't had a time like this as far as like really baseline deconstruction since pre-deluge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we were in an incredibly like auspicious time for humanity to recreate a self.
Yeah.
But it is going to take, it reminds me of like when there's a 4-year-old at the grocery store who really wants that candy bar and mom said no, but they stuff it in their pocket anyway. And then they get caught and the mom is like, you're busted. But the 4-year-old child just screams and then tries to negotiate, blame, draw attention to pity itself, and all of these terrible like breaking down emotions. I feel like that's what the system is doing as people slowly start to kind of take back their self-empowerment, their self-worth, their questioning of the paradigm. Like, why am I doing this? But then the system goes, ah, and it screams and it tries to self-validate and tries to fear monger everybody it can possibly get under its control, to get everybody to fear its tantrum.
Yes.
To let it have the candy bar.
Yeah.
Which is human suppression and control of the masses.
100%.
And
100%.
not to be, I'm not like a
No, but
conspiracy theorist, but I
get what you're saying.
like that one comedian said, you don't believe in any conspiracy theories?
Exactly,
Not
right?
one.
Not
Like,
one. Like,
not
come
even
on.
one.
Come on.
You think the government's just doing us all really right? Like,
I mean, they've proven time and time and time again that conspiracy theories. Now, I don't believe every single conspiracy theory is.
no, that's why they're theories.
Of course.
They're speculations, and everybody's entitled to like, oh, that sounds like convincing information to me. I think I believe that for now.
100%. For now.
There's no forever though. Like there's stuff I
Yes.
used to think could be possibly real, and then I did a little bit more digging, and then the information that I came across changed my mind.
100%.
And that's what we're doing right now. We're asking questions, we're speculating, but we're I think more than ever, what's so important is people are questioning without drawing conclusions.
Yeah.
Largely, and they're going, but they're scratching their heads.
Yeah.
And they're asking questions that they've never asked of their reality, their experience, and of themselves.
Yeah, that's
And
a
so it's
fact.
bringing those truths to the surface because they're asking
Yeah.
for the first time.
Well, I mean, I think it's so important to ask questions as an individual and to not always take what you see at face value,
Yes.
right? Like so many people are handed this narrative, but in reality, maybe that's not the true story. And it's so important to investigate and to ask those questions, because if you're just handed this one-sided piece of information and you accept it, well, then you're just kind of following the masses. And especially with today's world of having the internet, yes, there's good information, bad information here and there. But if you continue to look deeper and deeper, you can find the answers to a lot of the questions that you're looking for.
Yeah. And you've got to look at, who sponsors that website
Of
that
course.
you're finding that information on, who
That's
owns
so
that
true.
platform, who's monetizing off of that website's existence.
Of course.
And that writer's contribution to information.
It's,
So use that innate wisdom, discernment. People are having to learn first in their lives, discernment.
yeah.
Do I feel well about this? Does this sound right? And I love that because it's helped me kind of like sharpen my skills a lot as well and realize how much discernment I wasn't using
Yeah.
as I walked about and regurgitated information that I heard from what I believed at the time was a credible source, but it was not.
It's so
So
true.
it's great. It's brought me a lot of
so
humility.
true. I cannot tell you 2015 and prior, I would have CNN on 24/7.
I believe it.
Just getting fucking brainwashed, right? And I would only have this one-sided perspective. And then I started to wake up, and especially going through the pandemic really woke me up. And I think it woke a lot of people up, that is for sure. And unfortunately, with a lot of these bigger tech platforms like Twitter and Facebook, and I believe Twitter is hopefully changing at the helms of Elon Musk, but time will definitely tell. But Facebook, Instagram, all of these platforms where freedom of speech is just thrown out the window. And
Yeah.
if you have a one-sided narrative that doesn't fit with their narrative, then you get kicked off the platform.
Which is odd. And it's like you have to like look at how am I competing with their agenda?
Of course.
And that's weird
It
to
is.
me. Like if I was to only ever surround myself with people that agreed with everything that I said all the time, and if they didn't, then I shunned them, told them, you're going to hell or whatever.
Of course.
Whatever. We see those people
Yeah,
all the time.
all the time.
They're just mirroring what everything has always kind of been.
Yeah.
You look at the persecution of some of the greatest thinkers of the world, that the system at large has not agreed with their perspective of freedom,
Yep.
of free will, of choice, of expression, expansion, loving, compassion. How do you disagree with compassion?
I don't know. I don't get it.
But in their perspective of the disagreement of compassion, they truly believe that they're right. Like
Yes.
I heard this thing one time about those court shows where there's the judge and there's two
Yeah.
opposing parties. It's not really about who's lying. It's about who believes their version of the story the most.
Ah.
So I was like, oh, that's so interesting. It helps me gain compassion for those that are absolutely dead set in thinking that I hate to use this word, but the woke
No, but it's true.
mentality, but the conscious, decisive awakening of the mindset that no longer wants to conform, that recognizes oppression, that sees that there's something bigger to obtain and attain, a goal orient.
Yeah.
That they're just realizing that something's up.
Absolutely. A lot of people got to go back and read that book, Animal Farm.
Yes.
Right? Like,
it's so relevant right now.
it's so freaking relevant. It is so relevant. And unfortunately, I think going too far left or too far right on any side, right, is never a good thing.
And how
But
is anyone entitled at this point to make a law for all individuals?
that's what I'm saying.
There's no one size fits all, because if it was, we wouldn't be having so many disagreements.
Absolutely.
It's obviously not right.
No,
to
it's not.
put,
It's
okay,
not.
You're going to fit in this and you're going to fit in this.
And it's like everyone's got to fit in these little boxes where it's just like, no, I mean, humanity as a whole is many different colors of blue, purple, red, pink.
It's just this big, big
It's
spectrum.
100%.
There's no boxes. There's no categories.
Yeah.
We're all essentially kind of one species,
Yes.
a mishmash of species
Yes.
that all identify as the human race.
Yeah.
But we look different. We act different. You come into a body and you've got a baby that's a year old and you can tell it's got a personality.
Yep.
So, that
It's very, very strange. And it's like, I hate that we're shunning down any ideas. Like I come from this kind of free speech, absolute type of mindset, especially like in person, but online, even through social media. And where it's like, just because your idea sucks, right? As long as you're not hurting anyone or doxing anyone, giving out their real personal information, let those ideas out there, right? Because bad ideas, bad speech can be then backed up with good speech. And then you have this back and forth where then people can really, the cream always rises to the top, right? But if you're constantly blocking these ideas, you're going to then create these smaller echo chambers, right? And then things are going to fest up way worse than if you just allowed those stupid ideas, if they will.
Allow them to be heard and seen.
Yes.
Even if they're, a little bit detrimental,
Of
because
course.
it's part of the collective consciousness and they
100%.
need to be made aware of, at least so we can all say, nah, that doesn't work.
That's it.
I don't think that idea is going to be very healthy or safe or wise, and then we can communicate with that person as well, not be like, F you, because F you is not an answer to someone's possibly harmful perspective of a certain thing or concept or idea. So why not have an open discussion with them and be like, why do you believe that? And don't you think that maybe these things, there's always going to be that hard-headed person, but with compassionate, like proper communication and a really understandable, person to person, heart to heart way, you can talk to anybody about anything in a lot of ways.
And a lot of times when you have these open dialogues and these long form conversations, you find out that although we might have different ideas, we're a lot more similar than we think. It's like even talking about like Kanye West, right? I'm Jewish, okay? And the things that he said, going DEFCON 360 on the Jews and all this shit, right? Blocking him. And I believe he got back online and then got kicked off again or whatever the fuck the story is, right? Unless the dude is causing real world harm, let him say that shit, right? Reason being is that then other people can go, well, no, my family went through this, and this, and maybe that this circle of people, they are all Jewish, but that doesn't mean all Jews are bad or whatever, right? But you need to have these free-form, open dialogue-based conversations and just shunning down every little thing. And I always tell this story. I was telling the story to Tyler, where back in the 50s, right, the ACLU, right, which was run by Jewish people, I believe it was the KKK. I believe it was KKK. They were trying to protest, right? And the city was not allowing them to do it. And the ACLU was like, they backed them. Literally, they just had gone through World War II fucking like 10 years prior, right? Where, Nazi Germany, everything had the Jews and everything. And the whole mentality was like, okay, well, today, right, their ideas are bad, right? But maybe there's a day where our ideas are bad. And if you don't allow both ideas to come out there, the cream is never going to rise to the top. And we need to be able to back any type of any free thinking, free speech mindset, because maybe our ideas and thoughts are the best today, but things can always change. And if you start blocking things down, well, guess what happens? You have something like a Nazi Germany.
Then it gets lost to time. Well, the good idea possibly gets lost to time.
Exactly.
Because it's like, that's that weird cancel
culture.
Cancel culture that's
100%.
happening, which is so weird. There's so many, I'm not I'm not the most wonderfully agreeable identity, but I have some good ideas. Just like there's a million people that I've met that I'm like, I didn't really like when they said that, or their stance on that is like kind of shitty, but in general, they've got some really good ideas. So and no matter what, like, what is the outcome inevitably every single time when you say, I'm not going to think about this, I'm not going to do this? Like, sometimes when you tell yourself, I'm not going to get sick, you get sick right
Of
after.
course.
Because when you focus on what you don't want, you get what you don't want.
100%.
When you focus on what you do want, you get what you do want. It's
Yes.
only law of attraction.
Yes.
There's no de-attraction. There's no pushing away. There's no saying no to.
Yeah.
It's something I've learned. It's really tricky and super flip-floppy with what we've been taught.
No, it's so true. Tyler, will you look that up, the ACLU back? I just want to make sure I get the story right.
Yeah.
Did you already have it up? Okay.
1 second. I'll share screens.
Yeah, no worries. I want to get this story right because I preach it, but I'm not always. Okay.
Yeah, so in the 1950s and 60s, the ACLU handled case
ACLU.
questioning the constitutionality of loyalty oaths and a blacklisting of supposed left-wing subversions. It also played a role in the Supreme Court decisions banning prayer in public schools as a violation of the constitutional principle of the separation of church and state.
Well, no, that's definitely what they do. But can you write an ALCU backing KKK in the 50s? I think it's KKK in the 1950s. Let's see if you can find it. Just pulling up.
Defends right to free speech.
No, yeah, go back down. ALCE defends KKK right to free speech.
I see, understand. So everybody was upset with the ACLU for their defense.
Oh yeah, they were
that?
there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. But pretty much it even says it right here. The ACLU defends KKK's right to free speech, right? And I don't know if this is the same time set because this was written back in 2012. But either way, this definitely happened for sure. It doesn't matter. I was trying to get the exact date, but it doesn't really matter.
Wow.
Because yes, I mean it's just we are very fortunate to live in a nation, called the United States of America, where even with all its scabs and wounds and, blisters and all the shit that it does have, we are one of the freest nations in the world, especially when it comes to free speech. But I feel like that is definitely getting trampled on when it comes to social media channels, right?
And the United States entirely has done or westernized countries, I guess,
Westernized,
have done
yeah.
a really, really wonderful job at allowing people to kind of embody hate
Yes.
a little bit to police themselves.
Yeah.
Because people will go, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then that guy's effed forever. Like
Yeah.
he's done.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like kicking anybody off of a social media platform and deplatforming them altogether is kind of atrocious.
It is.
Because we at least need to be able to, unfortunately, we have to see what these personalities and these opinions serve, because that's not the only person who feels that way.
Absolutely.
If at some point we get to that point where those people all have that kind of heinous, terrible opinion, we have to be able to converse with them.
Yes.
Because then they're going to be secretly, and it's like, why not have an open discussion and help them understand why their unhelpful bias or perspective is not compassionate.
Yes.
And help them learn that they're hurting themselves and they are potentially harming other people incredibly by having those opinions and that otherness.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're fostering the otherness by telling that guy's got to go. Yeah, we're all right. And that guy's wrong. It's like, well, I mean, and that's just it. It's like, who believes their story the most? That person who has that hateful, weird bias didn't come from nowhere.
Yeah.
For some reason, by law of attraction, experientially, that person has had a perspective of a certain type of person based on their experience that they hate that type of person.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to step in and discuss with them in a compassionate way, like, you can express this way, but let's talk about what happened. Let's help heal you.
Yes.
Because I don't know, I used to hate certain types of people. I'd be like, fucking guy in his hair or
Yeah.
whatever it was. It was always petty, and it was only ever about me. It wasn't about the person doing anything wrong.
course.
But I needed to find compassion and understanding before I was able to let go of my hate and my bias.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was wrong. And I wouldn't have been able to find out that I was wrong had I not had those open discussions with people who knew I was wrong as well, but knew how to speak to me about it.
Definitely. And I just keep on going back to this. It's like when you start to kick these people offline, then they start to create these echo chambers and they create their own social media platforms. And then all of these same types of one-way thinking mindsets come about. Well, flash forward, right? I mean, this is exactly what happened to Nazi Germany, right? Not saying this is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to ever happen again. That being said,
it resurfaces.
Of
The
course.
patterns recreate themselves.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And that's why if you have these individuals that maybe not, that don't think the same way that you do on the same type of channel, then you can still back it up with, okay, this, and this, right? Because these two different mindsets still need to be able to come together. And I think that in life, we have a lot more common ground than difference. But when you start to kick people out, well, then they get very righteous and they start to think
Yes.
their way is the only way. And then if it's a channel that is only a one-sided, it's like having people around you that just say yes, 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 yes. Well, then you're going to always think that you're right.
and you're going to be dependent on them to validate your rightness.
Yeah.
Whereas just having your opinion, and there's opinions that I have that honestly not a lot of people agree with, but they're my individual ones. They don't harm anyone. They don't harm myself.
Yeah.
And they're not malevolent in nature.
Yeah.
But it's hard to have those discussions sometimes. When I get at those windows of opportunity to have those discussions, sometimes my mind has changed and I'm like, wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
How cool to be able to have those conversations. But if you block them out, if there's somebody with an opposing view who I may be able to share wisdom with, or maybe they share something with me that I didn't consider. That's why you hate that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh, that's really understandable. I have a lot of compassion for your suffering and for your feeling like that was a trauma, because where do we ever get hate from?
That's
Not
it.
just thin air. It's indoctrinated into us,
Yes.
or it's traumatized into us.
Yeah.
It's always only ever fear-based. Hate is only ever fear in disguise. It's just wearing a different mask.
It's so true. And I just kind of look at my own story, and it's just like, especially, the pandemic and everything like that, like my mindset has changed so much in the past 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So freaking much. And that is because they only allowed one side of thinking, a one size fits all approach. And that's just not the case. And now, especially, as it's been 2.5, almost 3 freaking years, since the pandemic started, we're finding out a lot of those ideas and thoughts that they were spewing about were incorrect.
That they were adamant.
So
that
adamant.
everyone needs to accept as truth.
Yep.
And I don't know, that approach to me, I was like, I think I'm going to go do my own research.
Yeah.
And if I have any kind of questions here, I'm not going to opt for someone else's suggestion. That was, it helped me establish like a solid foundation of discernment to where I wasn't going to be suggestible to a medical procedure.
Yeah.
No matter what it was.
Yeah, but no, you're
It's
correct.
my body.
It is
and
your
I've gotta
body.
choose for myself, and I'm going to choose wellness, and I'm going to use my best discernment to decide that. And everyone should be able to choose that.
100%.
I think that's what that kind of was like helping everybody
Yeah.
establish is, I'm not anti-vaxxer. I'm not
No.
pro this and anti that. And, I just want to do what's best for me. And if my discernment says this and it opposes with you, you don't need to label me, and you don't need to
No.
avoid me like the plague.
It's
because
so
I'm
crazy.
extremely healthy.
Yeah.
I'm just a
Well,
normal.
what exactly? Like they said, take this vaccine, right? And you can't spread it. You're going to keep everyone safe. And they were painting all these pictures, right? And now we find out that's just not the fucking case.
It's tough.
And-
And what a great purpose that served too, because the people that were very entrusting of this system to keep them safe, and it's just like anything else. Like, what did they do after, any kind of cataclysm? Well, we gotta take all your freedoms away.
Yep.
We gotta take all your freedoms away to keep you safe. We're
Patriot
doing
Act.
this for you. Thank you.
Yep.
And so, I don't fall under that category of mindset. I don't ascribe to that mentality of, if I experience trauma, then I'm going to give all my power and I'm going to be completely disempowered to something that's promising me safety. The only thing that's ever kept me safe is me.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
I'm in my body. The government's not going to come down and feather my nest and make sure that you got all your vitamins, you got all your fruit and vegetables that
Right.
you need as a vegan. You
Yep.
okay? Like,
No.
so we all have to you can't just, well, I saw this ad on TV and I got really nervous. And then so I just went out and had a medical procedure, no matter what it is.
Of course.
No matter if it's you walk into a clinic and somebody slaps you with grape jelly upside the head.
Yeah.
No matter how invasive or non-invasive the procedure was, we're still in that bodily argument. Like, you don't have autonomy.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you what to do to your uterus or
Yes.
whatever else.
No,
it
but
is.
it's true. It's so true. It's
So-
it's kind of funny. It's not funny at all, but it's the same people that and I totally believe, like, your body, your choice, right? Like when it comes to vaccines, and I believe that and obviously there's nuanced discussions when it comes to abortions and things like that, but it's just like, at the end of the day, right? I'm in control of my own body.
Yeah.
And I know what's best for my own body.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a one size shoe fits every single
It's
aspect.
so individuated.
It
It's
is
so subjective.
It's so subjective.
Yeah.
And it's just like, instead of they were just pushing vaccines down our throat, instead of like, okay, you got that, but what about vitamin D supplementation? Getting
What
out and
about
working out,
sunlight,
drinking water,
laughter,
like
exercise,
like
yeah.
all of these key things that we know now especially people that took really good care of their bodies, right? And just most people, especially younger people, like
and fared very well.
fared very,
Yes.
very, very well,
Yeah.
right? But now they're doing vaccines for little kids, and it's just like, listen, if it's like fucking polio and things like that, like, okay, there's a conversation there.
But even polio, when they started the polio vaccine, it was the same paradigm.
Yes.
It was very interesting.
You're
And now
correct.
there are still people suffering from lifelong debilitating consequences from getting that vaccine.
Correct.
When the government was actually using, without consent, celebrity identities during that era to, kind of
Yes.
pick up the pace and pick up the trajectory on the vaccinations amongst Americans.
Yeah.
And there were celebrities directly saying, I did not endorse that. I did not give you permission to use my image and name, that I promote this vaccine. And so it's the same type,
Same type of thing.
They're just running the same
100%.
So not to push aside someone's perspective of this was a good thing for me, and I feel that it really did, but we have to take into account the placebo effect, which is a very real thing.
It is.
That's why it's 51%.
Yeah.
That is 2% away from an unsuccessful drug trial.
Yeah.
So those are not really odds that I trust. I think mind over matter. When you understand quantum, you understand the law of attraction, you understand the way the body works, and it is mind over matter. You've experienced hundreds, if not thousands, amongst you have to kind of search for them, but what they call miraculous transformations of bodily proportion.
Yeah.
Where somebody's tumor is gone like that, or somebody's immediately into remission, or no longer has that virus, or whatever it is. You see those all the time, and it comes with the perspective of mindset and just the shift in self-identity.
How does that even happen, though?
I mean,
right?
you look
Because
at
I've read stories before,
amazing,
like
and it's not too far off from where we all exist on a daily basis.
yeah,
Like,
that's
I know that
strange
I've talked.
one.
It's amazing, but it's not uncommon. We're all given that. We're all kind of born into that right, into that bodily right and ability to do it. Because if you think about it, when there's a dead body, when there's a body,
Yeah.
you can know that there's no life in it. There's no consciousness in it.
Yeah.
And immediately the consciousness leaves the body begins to deteriorate because there's nothing illuminating it or lighting it up, whatever, possessing it, operating it at the helm. When your awareness is in that body, it helps to, shape that body and create that body's existential awareness of itself. So if you think mindful thoughts of wellness, I am well, I am healed, I am in remission. It's the same thing that they talk about Christ consciousness, and what Christ was doing is he saw you in your perfected wellness. That's it. Go forth and tell no one, because then people are going to tell you, you're not right. No. You're not healed. You're still sick, remember? So it's as simple as that. They've seen enough now in a growing number of instantaneous remissions, transformations, healings to know that the mind does have that capability, because that's why they call it like a blind study. When they're doing these quantum experiences of like they shoot particles, they have a particle accelerator and shoot the particles through this double slit experiment. I don't know if anybody knows about that.
I know what you're talking about.
But and then it turns into a wave and non-locality and spooky action at a distance. And
Yes,
starting
that's
to kind of
crazy.
It's amazing though.
Yeah.
And if we're all made up of that material, and yet in a quantum experience or experiment, we're not allowed to observe it because our observation changes the outcome.
It, yes.
So what is our awareness doing to our bodies every single day?
That's
if
a valid
everything is
point.
made up of the same material that everything else is made up of, everything has an awareness to it because everything's made up of the same tiny shit.
Yeah.
So how are we not allowed to have a connective experience with our bodies and instantly heal and bring wellness into it? It's because of our mindsets and our thought processes of where we are.
Very, very true. Will you look that up? Spooky action at a distance, just so I can
That's
read
Albert
it to
Einstein's
people. Yeah,
thing.
it's quite remarkable.
It's incredible.
Do you think, and I'll just read this once it comes up, but do you think that anyone has the power to cure their ailments?
Everyone. Every single one.
Here we go. Albert Einstein colorfully dismissed quantum entanglement, the ability of separated objects to share a condition or state of spooky action at a distance. Over the past few decades, however, physicists have demonstrated the reality of spooky action over ever greater distances, even from Earth to a satellite in space.
If they've got two identical photons, I think it was 7 miles apart when they did this experiment. They had it in this really long situation where they're 7 miles apart and they tickled one photon and the other one reacted instantaneously, no delay.
So it's like
At
every
in the
action,
same exact.
every action has a reaction. So
Well, that would be karma, but
well, every
but-
action has a reaction.
but every action does have a reaction. But this would be like if you're focused on your body and you have an ailment and you go to a doctor who you trust is more educated than you in telling you what your body does and doesn't do, and they, with their education, their income, their office, their intimidating cold environment, they sit you down on a cold table, half dressed, and say, this is what your body's doing. Goodbye. Here's a bill. That is like that's disempowering.
It is.
Not to say that all doctors are misqualified or anything, but they're setting you up to have a labeled awareness of what you now are.
Yeah.
And so people leave a doctor's office and they go, oh, I have this. I am this. Let me find a community to reevaluate and validate who I am and what I am now with my diseased body.
Yeah.
And they find others. Oh, my suffering. Oh, my pain. Oh, my. But that's not the focus. It's the camaraderie is what you're looking for.
Of course.
You're looking for inspiration and hope and wellness and in recovery. But you look at the gist of those conversations and it's constantly regurgitating the state of unwellness. But like I'm reading Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, Wishes Fulfilled. Really interesting. He talks about in the first beginning chapters of a spontaneous cure of this young woman who had, I can't remember specifically the type of palsy, but she had a type of palsy that came out of nowhere. She had incredible paralysis and an immense emotional and physical difficulty out of nowhere in the middle of her college, and had a complete transformation within a very short period of time after a mindset. She had a session with a particular specialist that helped her assess where trauma was or where tense, feelings of stress were residing in her body. And as a Reiki master, I can attribute to this as well. You can really pick up and sense after training and assimilation of these energetic educations, you can find where traumas lie in the body, where energy's stuck. You can move it out and somebody can just poof, be better. So it
is incredible.
It's the awareness of like, I have an innate sense of wellness that is always tappable. It's always underlying, but somehow a diagnosis has convinced me that I am now this, and that this is how I now identify. And these are the things I'm going to have to do. But it's just a mindset shift. There are ways to, it's been proven. They can instantly transform. It doesn't really necessarily take allowing these suppressed medical technologies to come forth. It comes first, I think, from the awareness of that an underlying wellness always available to us.
So you do think that, like, say someone has like stage 4 brain cancer.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
It is, but the traditional model of looking at it tells us it's a complete failure.
Well, I think the traditional model
of the body,
and I think westernized medicine, even with its there's good, right? But there's a lot of flaws. An extreme amount of flaws. It's a lot of flaws, and it's a one size fits all.
It is, and it's we're still using technologies that are extremely outdated and harmful to the cellular system.
Yes, they
kill the microbiome. They kill your sense of worth. They kill your sense of just any kind of like awareness of your body's innate system to communicate with itself and to tell you what's going on and what you need. And any physical debilitation or degeneration is always resulting in an emotional or psychological, whatever little seed that was planted at some point.
Yeah,
it's either anger or depression or fear or sadness or self-worth.
But do you think people are strong enough to be able to, if this is truly, truly possible, right, to be able to reverse these ailments? Like, do people even have the average person have the mental stability with all the shit that's going on in their life?
You gotta want to.
Well,
if you want to see wellness, but you have to. Yes, everyone is capable. I truly, truly believe. I love people so much, and they're so complex. And I love when someone says, I can't because 10 reasons. And it's like, you're advocating for your inability by saying those things. it comes from a state of awareness. You have to change how you speak to yourself, how you speak about truthfully your reality. If you're currently experiencing an illness, it's okay to be in an illness part. Ask you, what is this doing for me? How is this helping me? What am I learning along the way? And where did this begin? Seek homeopathy, seek alternative medicines, seek an herbalist, seek an energy healer, seek a acupuncture, hypnotherapy. I mean, there's so many modalities that can help you seek out when it began. And oftentimes, if I've had a really serious illness going on, really serious, like I might be in some serious trouble, I've linked it back through these other modalities, not just Western medicine that says, let's slap a Band-Aid on there and get you hooked on opiates.
Yes, it's true.
That doesn't work.
No.
I've had to retrace my steps and follow my little breadcrumb trail that I emotionally left for myself when this trauma began and started an illness in my body, because the body's only going to respond to what you're thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
And if you're in a toxic environment, of course, that's another contributing factor. If you're around a bunch of, terrible isotopes, or you're in a toxic environment with like chemicals, and that the body responds to the environment as well.
It does.
Kind of a lower vibration environment, but it also directly responds to what you tell it.
Yeah.
And you're constantly communicating with your body through your thoughts and feelings about yourself and your environment. And anything you constantly tell yourself about yourself and your environment and the people around you are creating a vibrational resonance within your physical structure to tell your cells what to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of these degenerative diseases, these incredible things that come out of nowhere, they're only ever stemming from an emotional or psychological thing that you're telling yourself, or something that happened that you're still holding on to. There's some kind of pattern there that established in that moment of trauma that was not able to relieve it in itself.
Yeah, I know, I believe you do know. I was diagnosed with MS. And, the doctors wanted to kind of give me this entire westernized approach of taking, this shot, this thing, that stuff, right? And from the jump, I was like, I'm not fucking doing this, right? Because I do know that, all the side effects from the medications. A lot of people within 5 to 10 years of taking these medications have another autoimmune disorder, and just this whole slew of issues. And so my mindset behind it was like, well, I started following Dr. Terry Walls, right, who had stage 2 progressive MS, and through restructuring her entire diet, creating the Walls protocol, through cold therapy, sauna, Numi therapy, all of these things, she was able, where she was literally wheelchair bound, to now where she literally rides a bike 10 miles to work and 10 miles home. Now, is her life, does she still feel the struggles and the pain from MS? Absolutely, right? Yeah. But has her life dramatically shifted? 100%. And I can for sure say that when my sleep is fucking tight, when my eating is super fucking clean, when I do sauna and cold therapy, I think you might have walked by right when you walked in on the cold plunge and the
so
sauna,
great.
right?
Yes, they're amazing.
When I do all of those things, my base level, which down here, is now up here, right? And
which is funny, because those are things we should all be doing all the time.
100%.
It's just we're maxed out in today's westernized way of pursuing life to hustle our asses off until we're exhausted enough, no more left to give ourselves.
Yes.
Or else we're selfish.
Yes.
So
100%.
We should be caring for ourselves in those ways all the time. It's a lifestyle shift. It's a mindset shift. And it's funny. It goes hand in hand. You start eating well, you start thinking differently.
Yes.
You start thinking differently, start eating well.
Yes.
So it's like it goes hand in hand, and the inevitable expanding spiral of that little seed that's planted, that mindset, is the pebble in the pond for the entire, everything to be affected by your choices.
It's so fucking true. It's so true. What we put into our body, what we do with our body, is so important. And unfortunately, we live in an overweight nation. We live in an overweight nation where people are not taking good care of themselves. They're stuffing their mouths full of bullshit and sugars. And
you got to look at, too, the consciousness behind a higher BMI or an unhealthy BMI.
Yeah.
Emptiness.
Yes.
And feeling like they're not grounded. And I've noticed through practice of Reiki and these energy healings and stuff like that, when I work on someone who has a higher BMI than they would wish, they want to be smaller, they wish to be smaller, they also have a lot of the same traumas, worries, anxieties, fears, negative anticipations, or things that have happened to them in a childhood where they feel that for some reason there's a comfort in the consumption, and there's something emotionally underlying there.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
and we're propagandized all the time to eat this and do this and sit on your butt and look at your phone. And it's a little black rectangle and the whole world's on it. It's fascinating and extremely captivating and very informative if you're goal-oriented for wellness.
Yeah.
It can be the most beneficial tool
that
we've ever had.
The propaganda on food is fucking absurd.
Do you ever, there was this thing I was reading about the top sugary brands of children's cereal. Do you ever notice when you go on that aisle, all of the characters all lined up are looking down?
Oh, shit.
Because the bowl, but they're looking down at the child. So the child feels like, it's a very subtle thing. And I remember reading that going, holy shit. Count Chocula was fucking looking at me the whole thing.
That makes sense.
But they're doing that. They know
it's a psychological thing. It's a psychological thing. Did you pull something up there? Yeah.
Yeah, one sec. Yeah, if you look at all the boxes are here, you can all see that they're all.
Oh, holy shit!
Looking down.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Isn't that crazy?
No, that's creepy.
It is.
That's fucking creepy.
Yes, it's very creepy.
Well, this guy's looking straight.
Yeah.
I think that's the first one.
Yeah.
The other two are looking
down.
The other two, they're all looking down.
The bowl is always beneath the character because it's relatable. Children are going to be looking down at their bowl.
Dude, look at the rabbit.
They're all looking down.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's those subtle little things that when you know what to look for,
holy shit,
you can find hidden stuff that is trying to convince us we know what you want.
Yes.
We are right there with you. We're the character that you grew up with.
No, it's
and
so
just
true.
Don't look at the ingredients. Don't worry about it.
No, don't look at the
about
ingredients.
it. You trust us. You know us. We're familiar to you.
Yeah.
And that's weird. Like I've had this really weird metaphor that was brought to me in meditation one time, of all things, of this system that is kind of bent on us getting hooked on really bad, unhelpful shit.
Yeah.
And it's almost like for the people that are really hard pressed to believe that this is the direction this is going, that this system that's been set up to farm raise us, to domesticate us, is kind of like the dad that went to every soccer game and was there for your PTA and this and that, and you find out he's a murderer later.
Yeah.
It's like, but he was such a good dad for so long. That sucks. You go through this, you kind of rack your brain a little bit trying to wrap your head around that very unfortunate realization.
It's like a slow death too, right? Like let's talk about like the cereals for kids.
We got to grieve. I mean,
right?
It's every bit of mainstream reality, unfortunately, is governed by an entity that doesn't want the best for us.
No.
And we're coming to terms with that, and it's rough.
Money, right? Money.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy is I remember growing up with the food pyramid. Now they have the Tufts, look this up, like Tufts food scale, right? And the way that they scale food is absolutely absurd.
Really?
Absolutely absurd.
Is it the
right?
proportions? Like really
no,
large
it's
portions?
like what they say is like the most healthy. Go to like images.
Oh, okay.
Let's check this out. Right. So it's the Tufts Food Compass. And it's like raking. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is a bit slow today.
Okay. What are you on? Which Wi-Fi?
Oh, there we go.
Click on maybe. Let me just.
How to stop cravings for
no,
food.
like this one right here. Let's see if you can make it bigger. Let's see. No, this one was not it. This is not it. This is for like different drinks and shit. Click on that one right there. We're trying to find it. Maybe this was BS that I read, so it could be. No, that's definitely not it. It was categorized. Man, now I'm like rethinking if I was incorrect.
I'll have to read about that. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So were the proportions that you saw?
It wasn't the
in one
proportions. It
particular
was just like
graphic?
putting like Cheerios. Like they what I saw was like different
Wow.
percentages of like what's healthy and what's not. And it was like Cheerios and this candy, whatever, was like above, just foods that for sure are healthy. Now, but I'm like questioning if that was like a bullshit graphic I saw.
Maybe it was, but I mean, it's not
probably.
too far off.
But I mean,
because-
the food pyramid is bullshit.
yeah, completely. Like the other day, I was scrolling through Pinterest because, let's face it, we all love Pinterest.
Yes.
Pinterest has some of the
Tyler
best.
loves Pinterest.
My God, I love Pinterest so much. So we're all on Pinterest. I'm looking through like interesting, just what to wear for fall because it's cold
Yeah.
and I don't know how to put my outfits together. And then there's an ad, milk hydrates better than water.
Get the fuck.
I'm not kidding you. And so I immediately am like, that's
What?
It literally says
Can you
milk
see if you find that?
hydrates. You can find it. It's all over Pinterest.
Milk hydrates.
Milk hydrates better than water. And
I could see if it was like liquid
If
IV
it was-
hydrates better than water.
I could see if it was human milk hydrates better than water.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
it's full of colostrum, it's full of the right,
Correct.
acids and fats and all this good stuff.
Yep.
Yes, milk is hydrating,
I don't know.
but it's squeezed from the teat
it
of
says
another
more,
species.
No, I don't know.
I
if
don't
that's-
think I agree. We're made up of mostly water.
Yeah.
If we were made up of mostly another species teat excretions that
Yeah.
it produces only for its own fetus,
Yeah.
for its own offspring.
Yeah, like human milk.
If we were made up of human milk, that would make sense.
Yes.
Human milk is more hydrating. We're not. That's not
Well,
even.
no. Do you know the issues that the gut issues that so many people have from drinking milk, like
from dairy
from
products.
dairy
is
products
insane.
in general?
The inflammation as
Yeah,
well, and
like-
the endocrine issues and the hormonal
So-
issues, and it's shocking. Yeah, it's incredible. That really
'cause,
surprised me. That was
I mean,
interesting. to
let's just
see.
say hypothetically, if it's more hydrating than water, but what about it's just painting what the picture that I got from it was that milk is better than water.
That's the point. It is, and they're probably, if you take a sponge, or if you here, perfect example. You spill a little milk on the counter, you spill a little water on the counter. What does the water do?
Yeah.
It evaporates.
Correct.
What does the milk do? It sits there in a gross,
Yeah.
scummy, nasty puddle until it dries into a little crusted
Correct.
little emblem
Right.
on your counter. So there's more hydration in the
Sure.
milk because it's
Like thicker, right?
nasty.
It's nasty. It's alcohol and
It's
shit.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, of course it is. Objectively, that's probably true.
But it's not
But they're
the
omitting
point.
so much information.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
exactly it.
you're
That's
right.
it. It's
And
just
so
it's
it's-
painting the picture that milk is better than water. And
Yes.
fuck
And
that.
there's a person dancing freely
Yeah, of
in the
course.
ad, just running on the soccer field or working out. It's like, I never go into my gyms, any of the gyms I go to, and work out 6 days a week.
Yeah.
There's nobody chugging a gallon of milk.
Fuck
There's nobody
no.
with a Nesquik anything. Like, they have their water bottle
Yeah.
because water is
Yeah.
a universal solvent. It's what a lot of things are made up of. It's super crucial.
Yes.
I mean,
It's so true. Like a lot of people will have like liquid IV or,
Yeah.
branched chain amino acid, just different things that are definitely very, very beneficial to like the electrolytes and things like that.
and they can hydrate
Prime
you,
is definitely
your
better than liquid
cells
IV.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a more efficient way than just chugging a bunch of water. If you're
Yes.
in dire need of hydration, they hook you up to an IV. Just
Of
put
course.
it directly in there.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be great if
Yeah.
you're dying. But
Yes.
most people who are drinking milk on a more than water are already dehydrated.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not the best thing for your gut biome. That is for sure.
You shouldn't be replacing one with the other. I don't
no.
know. That just
no,
made me
no. It's
laugh.
true.
Like, that
It's
was
true.
so
I mean,
funny.
I could never imagine going to a gym and seeing dudes
Like a bunch of dairy.
64 gallons of fucking milk just chug.
Yeah.
Screw that.
Yeah.
Like, forget that. And once again, milk on a level might be more hydrating than water,
Yeah.
but you're leaving out all the bullshit, and you are once again painting it as like milk is better than water,
Yeah.
right? And at least that's as soon as you said that, that's what I thought, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We just kind of live in this like weird, very, very weird culture, like getting back to like this one size thing fits all, leaving out all the other side of the argument, right? And then like even like getting back to like when we were talking about pharmaceutical companies, like we live in a day and age where 75% of our ads, up to 75% of our ads, are pharmaceutical based ads on television. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's just like, getting like with like the vaccine, it's like before the pandemic, right? So many people looked at the pharmaceutical industry as this greedy fuck of an industry that was just all about taking your money and not like creating things that truly benefit. Now, some things maybe they do, right? But it doesn't matter, right? You look at like what the Sackler family did with opiates and OxyContin,
Yeah.
right? They knew that it was bad.
Yeah.
They knew that it was addictive, and they did not fucking care,
Yeah.
right?
It's just like the ingredients in processed foods that they by law do not have to list, but that do trigger the body to request more of that food.
Yes.
There's so much fine print with the FDA, the FTC, like all these different government entities that are approving or denying what we eat. But thank God we still have just a basic produce department.
Yeah, I know.
Still to this day, knock on wood, we've got organic produce and we can get our organic foods and stuff like that. But you have to people have to reformulate what they consume and where it's from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's even some of like the fruits and vegetables, the things that are inside the soil and, like the Roundup, right?
You can't consume glyphosate.
No, you can't.
It kills your mitochondria. And where does most of disease come from? A lot of disease come from.
Yes.
Mitochondrial damage.
Absolutely. Literally that's what Terry Walls always talks about, especially like people that are suffering with MS, is about restoring your mitochondria.
Yeah, it's
right?
so crucial.
Doing good things to your body. Mm-hmm. And so many people lack that. And it's just like, I think it's just all excuses, right? You don't need a gym to work out, right?
We created exercise. Like our buddy Darian.
Yes.
Darren Olian says
yes.
we created exercise because we don't have that kind of lifestyle anymore that allows us to get out and be really active and have our environment and our stability and our safety requiring physical exertion.
100%. 100%. I mean, we're not hunter-gatherers anymore.
And we're not even doing any kind of manual labor.
No.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most people, right? Obviously, there's
it's either no manual labor at all and you got to join a gym, or so much manual labor you die at 60.
Absolutely. And it's just like, and unfortunately, most people that get towards the end of their life, it's like, you want to live a life where it's like 90, 100 years. So like, let's say you live to 100, it's a good round number, right? 99 and a half years of good, right? Obviously you're getting older and your body changes and all that shit. And the last 6 months to a year go bad, right? But on average,
not even bad. Like you can just start losing I peed a little bit. Like,
well, of course,
stuff like that. Like there's a natural process the body wants to do towards closing this chapter.
Of course.
And like just letting it go
and just
back
letting
home.
it go, right?
Yeah.
Go back. I like that. Go back home, right? But most people, the last 10 to 15 years of their life is just one ailment after another.
Oh, sometimes for decades.
Yeah.
It starts younger than ever now.
Younger and younger. The rise of autoimmune diseases is out of fucking control.
It's incredible.
It's out of control.
And it's all avoidable.
Well, yeah, it definitely is. It's very avoidable. And I think what we're putting in our foods is playing such a vital role. Yeah. All the plastics that we're consuming, everything that we're consuming in our body is causing more and more issues than ever before. It's not like back in the day, right? 200, 300, 400 years ago, people couldn't live to 80 or 100 years old. Like people did, right? But back then, infant mortality rates were through the fucking roof, right?
Westernized countries. You look at the Eastern countries there's tons of centenarians.
Well, yes,
and they're living they're consuming differently.
For sure. Yeah. And they have been for a very long time, right? But
Westernized, you're right. We're not living this long, but also you don't see somebody with a whole lot of ailments living into their 80s and 90s.
That's true.
They're being cut short.
Of course.
And if you look at the kind of objective DNA structure of the human being, they should be pretty well set off to live far beyond 100.
I would hope so.
Far beyond 100. So what's cutting us down? It's obvious to see. Like when you really dig
definitely
deep.
I mean, I think it's the things that we're digesting on a daily basis. Things that are in the air, things that are in our drinks, things that are in our food,
and it's
right?
media and it's
media.
As well.
Yeah,
and consumption.
Of course, right? I mean, people are so stressed out right now. So many people are so stressed out, especially getting through the pandemic and everything like that. Like we as a society, right, have kind of, I want to say, just like kind of gone off the deep end, and it's just really scary to think if we continue down this path where it's going to take us.
It'll end the race.
I mean,
and not to
it
casually,
can.
It very definitely will end the race.
Because we have the power now to fucking take this.
We've got the knowledge,
It's
about being
so far.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, if like a meteor or a super volcano or anything's gonna blow up, like I just don't see. Unless like some crazy emerging technology happens, like a Neuralink, where we can really start to understand like people's bullshit, right? And like, I don't want to be connected to things like that, but I think that people hold a lot of things in, people lie, bullshit, like especially like with our politics, right? Like if everyone knew exactly what they were thinking, right, I think you'd have a lot better people.
And I think transcending, that's a good starter shortcut. But the real work is to appreciate and understand that we already have the ability to do that.
Yeah, but
we've been conditioned to forget, but the bodies why is there such a massive uptick in psychic incidents happening?
You think that people can do that?
100%, yes.
Okay.
Because I've done it. Like I've done it, and I've educated myself in an organic way. Wasn't born with any special gifts. I had a really anomalous childhood, but I wasn't born with any special gifts. But I learned mediumship, and now practice mediumship because everybody's got it. It's not like this, oh, that's really weird. It's like, oh, yeah, everybody's got that ability. Whether in some way, shape, or form. Some are more clairaudient, some more clairsentient.
What does that mean?
Clairaudient is like you hear certain information. Some are clairsentient where they get a feeling. Some are what's the other Clair?
Clairvoyant.
Clairvoyant, where they just kind of know. But there's all these different types of clairs and things like that, where there's a very, very intrinsic, deep knowing within human beings that is it's becoming more scientifically explored and validated to where now they know it's just not widely publicized. People have the ability to heal their bodies almost instantaneously, if not instantaneously, in a lot of circumstances, has happened on record, proven with scans and tests and all that stuff.
Yep. Immediate
remission, and just that ability to know. And when you focus a little bit more internally, you become a little bit more of an introvert, I guess, so to speak.
For sure.
But you start studying those aspects of consciousness, you can develop those clear senses. And everybody's going to have, because personalities are different,
of course,
interests, beliefs, and we're all identities. We're all super individuated. So everybody's going to have their specialty. There's all these, there's I Ching, there's divination, there's tarot cards, there's all this stuff, but the knowing is within everybody. And I wholeheartedly believe that, there's all the people that think, that doesn't exist. It's because they haven't taken the curiosity and taken the time to read a couple books and to test their own Clair abilities.
So
Everybody's got it.
Is it more of like an intuition, right? Because I like talking to my wife and everything like that. I'm like, fuck your brain, trust your gut, right? Like, your heart, like
the gut
things
communicates up and
to the brain.
communicates
I didn't mean
down.
I don't trust your heart, trust your gut, right? Because I think a lot of people, when they go off emotion, right, they tend to pick the wrong answer. But when you trust that intuitive thing that falls inside of all of us, right, your answer is usually right.
Yeah.
Right. But most people let their emotions get the best of them, and so they pick what their heart tells them instead of like
intuition. And the heart is also, the heart. People say the heart, but usually when they really dissect those emotions, they're based on beliefs, based on experiential wisdom that they've created formulas.
Your ego.
They keep thinking a thought and they create a belief around it.
Right. Yeah.
So it's you have emotions around your belief systems.
For sure.
People defend them wholeheartedly, like to the death,
I mean,
tooth and nail.
Literally.
So that's
the
not
Spanish
really,
Inquisition.
Yes. Right. So your heart can be fickle.
Of course.
Unless you can use the discernment to understand my heart is communicating with my gut. It's kind of the body's all one organ.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just trust your left hand to do something your right,
of course,
usually do a little bit better.
Yes.
So you just have to use the whole body as an integral system. But I really like, you can look at the, if anybody needs any kind of like a validated thing to use as per an example, the government trains, all governments all over the world train, what's it called? Remote viewers.
Yeah.
They take certain individuals with certain qualities because they're more easily adapted to their training protocol, and they train them to remote view. It's accurate, and they have enough tests and studies to confirm now that anybody can be taught to do this. So that the implications of that pretty much tell you, well, if you can see what's going on in a little, warehouse or something underground at a remote facility in a U.S. government compound in the Mojave Desert or something, you can see what's going on at a base in Russia, and then you can confirm it later. Well, non-locality. Where is our awareness? If our awareness is not being projected and only local to our brain, why are governments all over the world using people and training them to remote view other places and focus their attention on that other time where their body and their eyes are not there, but they can pick up exactly what's going on?
It's very strange. Look that up. Type in a government remote viewing. Just see what the hell comes
There's
up.
There's going to be a lot of conspiracy.
Well, no,
theories
I know.
coming.
Yeah. I know.
But
I know.
there's MK Ultra.
Of
There's
course.
all kinds of stuff like
Yeah.
that. So,
Midnight Climax, Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip.
Yep. During the Cold War, Stargate Project. Click on that right there. Here we go. Stargate Project was a secret U.S. Army unit established in 1978 in Fort Meade, Maryland, by the Defense Intelligence Agency and SRI International. Tyler, you just read it so I don't have to do it.
SRI International to investigate the potential for sidekick phenomena in military and domestic intelligence applications. The project and its precursors and sister project, originally by various code names: Gondola Wish, Stargate, that sounds familiar, Grill Flame, Center Lane, Project CF, Sunstreak, and Scanate.
And this is just Wikipedia. This is the
Yeah,
drop
of
in
course.
the
It's
bucket
a-
for
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
information.
Yeah, until
Yeah, no, I agree.
1991 when they were consolidated and christened as Stargate Project.
Wow. So they're still doing it.
They're still doing it to this day.
They're still doing it.
Yes.
If it wasn't
it's
working,
if
if
it
it
wasn't
wasn't
working, they
working,
would've
why would they
stopped,
still be
right?
doing it?
Yeah. So
And you're right. Wikipedia, it doesn't always
Yeah.
have the right answers, but at least I can read
it's like,
something. Right?
Wikipedia's cute.
Yeah, but at least they're if they weren't doing it anymore, if it didn't work, right, then why would they?
So what if you can send your awareness to a whole another location where your physical apparatus cannot sense what's going on in that environment, and you can properly depict what's going on in that environment with just your third eye, with your inner awareness.
Yes.
Why can you not project that? Why can you not project that awareness into your own body to see what's going on in there? It's closer to your awareness than anything else.
Yeah. I don't
There's a
have a
million-
rebuttal right now.
Yeah. So that's what's cool. Is like, what are the implications?
Yeah.
And I know from personal experience, there have been countless, for the past 3.5 years that I've been practicing mediumship, there have been so many available resources of confirmation and really like serious, like, oh, that's stupid. But they're like, how does she know that?
Wow.
Anybody can train themselves how to do this. So I think that Neuralink is great for now,
Yeah.
but it's already outdated compared to the human
What
body's natural
what the human
ability.
mind could do, but the thing is,
Yes, what consciousness, because it's not local to the mind. If the
Yeah.
mind was doing it, how can it see what's going on in a base in another country?
I don't know.
How can it see?
I don't know.
But they can. They're doing it.
Yeah,
So
most people don't have they might have the
They
power.
were taught they didn't.
Yeah,
They were taught.
of course, right?
You don't believe. That's stupid. That's woo-woo snake oil. You're a
yeah,
witch.
yeah,
And there's that collective trauma. If you have those extrasensory abilities, which everybody has, but some of us are convinced that we don't, and it could be insane if you think that you do. People were actually executed for practicing these natural abilities. So there's a trauma there. There's a lot of people who are very, very afraid to come forward and say, yeah, I have extrasensory abilities. Yes, I channel. Yes, I'm a Clair. Yes, I'm a psychic. Yes, I'm a medium. But everybody's got it. And so that trickle effect is starting to happen as people are kind of finding more people with those abilities too.
You know what I think is that if this is 100% real, and I'm not saying it's not, right? The issue is that there's a whole bunch of snake oil salesmen out there
Absolutely.
that say that they have these special powers, they have these special things, right? Or they can really be in tune with their body, but they're just full of shit, right?
For sure, yeah.
And so then what it does is it muddies the water for the individuals that truly can do it, right?
Mhm.
Because if most people are already skeptical about it, and then you have this person that's proven, to be bullshit,
Mhm.
right? Then most people are like, oh, well,
They're
that
going
must
to
be
get their
bullshit.
confirmation of what they already
Yeah,
believe. though.
confirmation bias, right, on it.
What's
so.
cool is like when I first started seeking that information, because I was really super biased that it didn't exist, right? But I really wanted to talk to my dead grandma.
Okay.
So it was like, oh, I don't know. That sounds kind of stupid of me to want that based on my old belief system.
Yeah.
I shouldn't want that. But everybody else seems to be thinking that's stupid too. But there's also, I talked to a medium who did it and confirmed really, really tiny things that only she and I shared. So I was like, well, something's going on here. Let me see if I can do this. So it is tough when you seek out, when you already have your set beliefs. The law of attraction will only confirm your beliefs.
Correct.
Very rarely are you going to go into a situation where you don't believe that person's authentic and they're going to just blow your mind.
Correct.
Sometimes they do, and you're like, wow, my whole perspective's changed on that topic.
Yeah.
But law of attraction, you're going to seek out and somebody who's going to try to validate your already existing belief system. And you're going to get exactly what you expect to see, that you don't believe them and you think they're bullshit.
Yeah.
But
It's true.
if you leave an open mind, there's some really awesome stuff that we can learn about our consciousness and our body and our ability to heal ourselves and help each other out and to be more transparent. And those kinds of people that are fronting those abilities or those notions of healing or wellness or clarity, because a lot of people see mediums or clairaudience or whatever for clarity, for an answer to something that goes, just goes by and it's unresolved in them. They're not going to get that feeling of resolve.
Yeah.
Like I've had people come to me that completely have never had a reading, that think it's bullshit. They think I'm bullshit. And then they're hysterically crying because they finally have their closure. So it's about what's your intention. Ask that person if are they just jacking up their rates to, do a fake reading based on your body language, your horoscope, your name, your personality. Do they ask you a bunch of questions or do they just go right into your reading?
Yeah.
You have to use discernment. It just comes down to that.
For me, why I have been very skeptical about psychics, right? And this is just personal experience, right? And once again, I said, I think there's a lot of people that are bullshit out there, and
for sure
and they're definitely, I'm sure there are people that can tap into some crazy fucking things. That being said, my father went to 2 different psychics. They both told him he would die in a plane crash, right? He never flew again, right?
Oh man.
And he died of a massive heart attack, right? And so there are a lot of snake oil salesmen out there, but I do know, like, even I feel like DMT opens up a portal that seems more real than what is going on right now at times.
And yet when you do DMT and you have a sensation of being covered in rainbow honey or something like that, some of the weird sensations that procure that from that, you can't explain that to anybody else until they've had the visceral experience.
Yeah.
So like, I've never dove into, or I don't think I'm psychic at all.
Yeah.
I have like weird prolific dreams or something, and then it'll come to fruition and be like, wow, weird.
Yes.
But I can't tell what's going to happen. I can only do mediumship at the time.
Okay.
But it's one of those things like when you have those notions like of, it's something so simple. And here's how I know everybody's got it, because this is such a relatable instance. You're thinking about that one friend and you're like, I should really send them a text. And you look at your phone and they're calling you, or they just sent you a message. Happens all the time.
Is that spooky action at a distance?
That's sharing a thought with that person simultaneously. You're not reading their mind. They're not reading yours.
No.
You're sharing a thought. That's kind of what telepathy is. Telepathy is just sharing the same thought at the same time.
Yeah.
Because
that's always crazy.
Time is a human construct. Time actually is kind of non-relevant.
It is.
Space-time, and there's time-space.
Yes.
But when you look at the abilities that we've been taught, this tiny segment of the truth of universal principles that are innate laws in our density. When you look outside of that, there's all these different things that when we think differently and feel differently about ourselves and our experiential situation that we're living, it changes our abilities to move and be malleable in this density. And it comes down to a very couple different, simple, easy to understand principles of science and spirituality combined. It's very easy to see that they really are not that separate, and it can be explained very blatantly and plainly to anyone who has basic understanding of somewhat universal principles that we were taught in public school. Yeah. I mean, I have barely a 12th grade education.
Yeah,
I just got my diploma and I was like, see ya, education, I'm out, because this all sounds wrong to me.
Yeah.
And then I started educating myself. What can I learn outside of what the public school allowed me to know that is also going to be crucial for my human experience?
Yes.
And that includes, what other extra fun shit can I do that'll make this more enjoyable for me? And what more can I provide as a service by learning, having the time and the spaciousness and the personal freedom and the security and safety to heal my own shit, to get over my traumas, and to open up my conscious awareness to new abilities that come with my being in a body. This is a God-given right to have psychic abilities and mediumship abilities and all these neat things that you hear about only monks can attain if they meditate on a mountaintop for 20 years. It's within everybody. It's just everybody's going to have their own little niche that's just they love, they passionate about. And if you're passionate about something, it's like, oh, let me read a couple of books on that. Let me study up on that and see if that's something I want to learn.
That's you just talked about meditating, right? And I was thinking about also like the DMT thing, right? Where there have been studies where they've looked at the brain of people on psilocybin, right? And then they look at the brain where it's like connecting new pathways, right? Kind of like ski slopes, right? And connecting parts of the brain that traditionally don't talk to one another. Mm-hmm. And then they took studies of people that heavily meditate, right? And the same thing is happening to the brain, right? Yeah. And that we've all had this experience in our life where maybe we felt like shit, right? Hungovers, whatever, you just feel under the weather, right? Mm-hmm. And then something amazing happens, right? You fucking, you found out your wife's pregnant, or you won the lot, whatever the fuck it is, right? Yeah. Something amazing. And then all of a sudden you went from feeling like shit to like, let's fucking go.
Yeah. In an instant.
In an instant.
Because of the conditions outside of you. You weren't happy until that condition
happened. Of course. So how did that happen, right? And so, I mean, pretty much what you're saying on a grander scale is that people have the ability to change the way they feel, the way they perceive their sicknesses, and all those types of things through the power of the brain. For you,
intention, and it's I would correct that it wouldn't necessarily be the brain, because they've had many occurrences. I guess your awareness, the awareness that possesses the body, because you're not your body. Yeah. You just have a body.
It's so true, right?
Yeah, right. You have it. It's like nobody cares if you put a lift kit on your car, or you put a wrap, or you put a big stupid sticker. But the moment you do anything to this vessel, they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so, how could you do that? But it's just what you walk around in all the time.
100%.
It's what you use to get around, because this density requires some kind of like what we perceive as tangible.
But
if you get down to the molecular, the tiny atomic structure, everything's non-solid.
Correct.
So this is just perception. There's no really.
Correct. Right. This is what is this? Right.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. I think about, I had to put my cat to sleep, a year and a half ago, right? Rest in peace, Danky. And, he was there, right? His body, who he was, everything. And then they had to put him down. Right. And then all of a sudden, this structure, this thing that I'd known for 13 years, but something was gone. Mm-hmm. And I even like remember seeing my father, right? Like, the same thing. It was like that thing was there, but the spark inside, whatever it is, consciousness, soul, whatever the fuck you want to call it, something is gone, right? Yeah. And that is, it's very strange.
I feel like, with like my own personal examination of why we feel the way we feel about perceived death.
Correct.
Is that we can no longer relate to or live in a co-dynamic role with who we identified somehow validates us. You're a daughter. Your mother dies. Are you still a daughter? Well, yes, technically, but she's not here anymore. So are you still?
Yeah.
It's one of those, are you still a daughter? Well, I mean, yeah, everybody's a daughter. Everybody's a son or a daughter. Everyone is.
Yes.
Everyone.
Correct.
But
that's a good point.
It's hard, like organically learning mediumship has taught me that the awareness goes on and is aware of what's going on with the ones that they are most aware of and concerned with at the present time. And there's not a lot of time where they are, a lot of perceivable, what we perceive as linear time there. So they can explain their death to me, how they died and all this stuff, and they can be confirmed by the one still in the living inquiring about their lost loved one, but they're just no longer there for them to relate to anymore. They don't have that, my father or my mother, and it's devastating, because then you lose a sense of you. Yeah. They're no longer present for you to identify as, this is how I relate, this is how I self-identify, with their presence being here, and I'm part of them, and we intermingle. And so I have learned through the personalities, the attributes of the one who has made their transition into a non-physical aspect of themselves, Wherever they go after that is, of course, debatable.
Yeah.
But in this other density, this other spatial awareness where they still are themselves, they're still very much interested and involved and curious about what's going on, and most of the time, want their still in the living one, still embodied one, to know that they're okay. Because there's always this, oh, they're gone. They died tragically, or whatever, untimely deaths and unexpected passings and all these things. We have such a great, incredible fear about it. But I feel like if more people spoke to mediums, and mediums who are not just after your dollar, mediums who would actually communicate truthful information, verifiable information about things that your loved one who has made their transition wishes to convey to you, that there is no death. It's just the body you perceive that's no longer physically in your presence for you to validate.
Yeah.
They're not gone. They're not even not focused. Like, they're really like, okay, what's my son doing today? Oh, my daughter's, dog is whatever. Like, they're very intensely aware and still kind of wish to remain a little relevant. They're always like, not that they have an agenda or anything, but it's really interesting. And it's becoming interesting too, that it's a whole separate thing from seeing a ghost. Like what people like say that they perceive that they see a ghost. There's a lot of energetic, electromagnetic qualifications that could possibly represent a photonically visible shape or form of a being that used to be, or maybe is simultaneously being, because we know that time is nonlinear. So they could be just an offshoot of another awareness happening simultaneously. We're seeing in a photonic way with our eyes. Our only perceivers are the body.
Yes.
But there's this sixth perceiver that's in the center of the brain that is always active, constantly. And it's also active, like you see, if you are having a dream, if you're asleep and you're having a dream, and then the next day you wake up and something about that dream comes into reality, you question yourself. You're like, what? How did I know that was going to happen?
It's always
that
so
is
strange.
Such a trip.
So strange.
So there's a little part of you that's never resting. It's never not aware.
Correct.
Even when your physical body turns off, you can have electrodes hooked up to your entire vessel, and scientists can confirm your body's unconscious. You are unconscious, and you're not thinking or feeling anything. But there's something going on, always aware. So I don't know. I want to explore that, and I want to see what people can expand upon in that awareness. If you know that this is always going on, and there's a lot of verifiable shit going on with people that are considered kind of like not normal, like pariahs a little bit, that claim to have an extrasensory ability. If it can help you feel a sense of resolve or closure, or like, relief, you don't have to be thinking that guilt, that fear, that sorrow, that loss or something, or anxiety. Like, I personally believe if I was a psychic, if I saw that somebody was going to die a certain way, I'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to tell them that, because the law of attraction, they're going to be thinking about that nonstop. And then that's going to set up a pattern of fear and anxiety in their body. And it's probably going to manifest illness. So I'm not going to tell them, because it's their fate.
Yeah, it is.
And like when I do tarot cards, for example, it's a really good thing, because it's the person who's handling the deck. I'm just showing them what the cards say. They're choosing the cards. And it's just only good for in that moment. Because you walk outside, you have the butterfly effect.
Correct. Yeah.
You step on a bug and you slip and fall and then eat shit and you crack your tailbone. You go to the hospital, you meet somebody interesting. It's a cool nurse. Turns out you went to school together. Like, there's all these things. Life is amazing.
It is amazing.
And so complex. One moment can change the entire trajectory of your day, your month, your week, your life in just an instant. And so I would never want to give somebody this permanent, I think that even if I started to see psychic abilities coming forth within myself, I don't think it'd be something that I would personally focus on.
But do you think that there's a possibility that, like recently, and this is not a psychic ability or anything like that, but Dana White did this study, and the doctor ran all the tests and said you have 10 years and a couple months to live, right? But if you do this, and this, like, you can change the outcome, right? You can live a long time. It's just because you're eating this, that, and the other. And he changed his entire body, has a six-pack now, looks great, right? Do you think that having that psychic ability, maybe that is their story today, but they could do things to change it?
I think that there's only ever now. There's, yesterday has already happened. So it's not happening currently.
Correct.
It's only your feelings and thoughts about what you recall happened. And even your memory gets distorted. If you replay a memory enough, it's like the game of telephone.
Yes.
You kind of distort it a little bit, and then you enhance your feelings. Then you feel more of a victim, and it really wasn't that way. Or you distort memories. It's not happening now, so it no longer exists.
Correct.
And anything you're anticipating in the future is still only a projection of what you hope, perceive, think, believe is going to happen based on your beliefs and formulated sense of self-identity in this moment. So who is to say?
Correct.
You could die tomorrow.
Yeah.
You could hit by a plane. If you start thinking about, oh my God, I'm so fearful. What's going to happen? Something bad's probably going to happen because you're thinking and feeling. So the body is like this, like tensed up little thing that is just waiting for your brain to tell it how to feel all the time. And if your brain is in a constant state of fight or flight, tension, high blood pressure, you get headaches, you start to sweat, you have a physiological reaction based on what you're thinking. Even if it's just thinking about having to go to the DMV, you start freaking out, stressing, and you're sweating, you smell bad, and you're perspiring, and then you can't sleep that night because there's all these things. But it happens really quickly. The body is a really good indicator of what you're thinking or feeling.
Absolutely.
And so you have to kind of treat that like your receiver, your universal receiver. If your mind's projecting these feelings and the body's physiologically reacting to it, you're mirroring out to the ether, to dark energy, what have you, that's always listening to create mirroring events, to immaculately and accurately mirror what you're already thinking and feeling and expecting.
Wow, that's incredible. You've definitely it's kind of crazy. A lot has changed since the last time we spoke, right? So it's like you're creating this new technology platform, right? That is, in my opinion, could transform the adult entertainment industry, right? Now, how long have you been working on mediumship for?
About 3.5 years.
3.5 years, right? I think we talked a little bit about it last time, but and now like you're diving head deep into it, which is truly amazing. What else is going on?
Honestly, I
saw you launch like a CBD lifestyle platform. I remember you talked about that last time.
Yeah, it's through the pandemic, manufacturing is a little tricky.
Yes.
But it gave us the right amount of time to reformulate a couple things, to just kind of work on the brand and just think about how we feel about it. And not everything's perfect all the time. There's always room for improvement.
It's life.
But it's up and raring to go. And I feel like it's a really good instrumental. Like the tinctures that I created are what I really believe in. They're ingredients that I've, tested, tried and true. That have been kind of found to be pretty well-rounded for most bodies.
Yeah.
So that's it. And just going to the gym, loving the gym, eating healthier, thinking healthier, reading good books, expanding my perspective, trying to expand others as well, and just sharing as much information as I can. It's as helpful as possible.
What products are you offering now for the business?
For Atana, we have a morning and evening and an immunity formula. We have D8 gummies as well. They need a little work on the formula, in my opinion.
Respect.
And then we have a pain relief freeze roll-on that's nano, so it goes right in, and it's actually pretty effective. My mom has had a bunch of back surgeries. I remember bringing her a tube of it, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is the only thing that's ever worked." So I was like, "Yeah, if my mom can use it, then." Yes. But they're vegan. They're all vegan products, cruelty-free, of course, and we sourced all the ingredients ourselves. And there's things that I really believe that that most bodies can assimilate and utilize really well. Help with detoxification, rest, getting an REM cycle faster. And just having a little bit of a more at ease experience.
You've always been so much about health and wellness and taking really good care of the mind, body, and soul, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Where does that even stem from?
I think I was born into it. I was that kid, from the time I was 2-3 years old, just wanted to be alone. Only ever want to be alone. I'm very particular. I have my routines. I'm
independent.
Weird with physical touch. I'm a little weird about the human experience. And it always felt extremely distorted to me and unfamiliar. Never really found a whole lot of familiarity with anything with the human experience. And so I was like, well, everybody around me seems to be suffering from their own kind of self-induced perception. And so what good stuff that comes naturally to me can I help build on or introduce or study myself to improve my experience to be the somewhat example of here's how you organically find wellness. And
Yes.
I just know that for a long time, I was so pissed off. I blamed everything outside of myself for my reason for being pissed off. I was unhealthy. I was miserable. I've been broke. I've, kind of just one of those really basic white trash upbringings. And I was like, God, this sucks. And I need to change this. I need to start reading. I need to gain other perspective. I need to study spirituality and science and religion. And I need inspiration, and I want to feel better sooner. So I hit this, and I remember as a child kind of watching my grandmother do it before she made her transition. She went through a lot of different modalities before she really landed on a couple that really suited her needs as a soul. And I never really understood that because, when there's someone else, my mom at the time, oh, your grandma's so this, and she's so woo-woo, and she's so weird with her spirituality. And yet as a child, I was like, she seems awfully happy. Yeah. She seems pretty happy. Let me figure out what that's about. And it was so instrumental in my now adulthood, finding like what makes me happy, and what's not going to harm anybody. It's not like a guilty pleasure to pursue wellness. It's not like, I don't want anybody to know. It's like, I want everybody to know, because if they worked for my completely convoluted, arrogant, ignorant self, if they brought this drudgery of a white female human experience out of its garbage beginnings, then it can certainly do that for just about anybody. Wow. And even if it's just a perspective shift, it's not about being born into this or getting that or having opportunities or being in a body or anything of the physical nature. It's about what you become aware of. That's what it really has come down to for me. All of the modalities, all the detoxes, all the books I've read, it does come down to a conscious decision to want better for yourself.
It sounds like your grandma was a big inspiration for you.
Incredible. Yeah. And through the things that I now continue to share, she's become an incredible inspiration to a lot of people.
That's amazing.
It's cool.
That's phenomenal, right? To be able to have someone in your life that you look to inspire you to become a better person, especially through your upbringing and everything that you went through as a child to become the person you are today. And then being so young and the way that you were to who you are today it's very, very inspiring. And now having this big kind of shift in your life is really cool.
Well, and it's a really good example of how it's accessible to everyone. Yeah. And I don't ever want to get a big head about my experience, because there are people who have experienced far worse and who have made a even more dramatic rubber band effect into an inspiring. But I think that's what we're all here to do. Find something relatable about their experience, share it openly, because you'll never know who you're gonna help feel better. Yes. And I don't care about inspiration or I want to be just like Nicole, because don't you do it your own authentic way, but find something that makes you feel better sooner. Absolutely. Because there's so many ways to go about it, but I just know that once you start wanting to feel better, feeling better will start to find you. Yeah. But you got to just have an open mind and be excited about that, and not just, it's just way easier to want to feel better. I remember hitting that pinnacle in like my 20s when I was so miserable, so irate most of the time, just an angry, traumatized person. We're all very traumatized. Yeah. And so realizing like, I've got some feel better to focus on. I started to feel better, and I was like, this is much easier than focusing on what shit that I don't like to think about. And it's not being ignorant to what has happened. Appreciate your journey. Yeah. But you don't have to continue to relive your journey and regurgitate your story in order to validate where you are now, because it's not helping anybody. You're not inspiring anybody. You're not changing your own reality. Yeah. And so what do you do next? Well, what can I do to feel better right now? What can I do to alleviate myself? Changing your narrative, changing the way you speak about and to yourself, about and to others, and still being truthful about your experience. If you're in pain, you're in fucking pain. Yeah, it's okay. Of course. It's okay to be hurting. It's okay to feel any emotion along the spectrum, whether it be complete and utter despair and depression or complete elation and exaltation. all of that is okay. Anger is a step up from depression. Like,
Yeah.
and what is it? Revenge is a step up from anger, and like all the way up the spectrum. But just being okay with where you are and knowing that everything's transient all the time. Everything's always only ever changing, and that you're not doing anything wrong, even in your shittiest moment of life. You haven't done anything wrong, and you're just doing your best based on what you know from thus far.
It's so true. You know, you never know what tomorrow is going to bring a year from now, 4 or 5, 6, 8 years from now. I tell this story, like, love, or hate Barack Obama, whoever's listening to this, is not the point of the story. The point is that back in 2000, he was trying to get into the Democratic National Convention, and he was like having issues to get in, right? 4 years later, he becomes like the main speaker at the DNC. 4 years after that, he becomes the president of the United States. If he would have just looked at his life in 2000 from 2008, right? That's 8 fucking years, right? From not being allowed into somewhere to speaking at to then ruling, you know, the America, right? You know, the United States of America, right? And it's just like the point of that is that, you know, today you might be going through shit. Today you might be going through challenges, but you don't know what tomorrow brings. And it's so important to continue to push forward. And even when you're faced in your darkest hours, know that as long as you continue to just fucking push forward, you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So don't give up, right? It's just so important. A few more things. You know, when we started talking about in the beginning, right, you're kind of transferring away kind of from being in front of the camera to behind the camera. Is that like, are you, will it be done behind the camera, or like what's the whole plan?
It will. Yeah. I think a majority of my focus will be behind the camera. I'd like to continue to hone my special skills, what have you, just to try to kind of continually quietly help people who are in search of that kind of information. There's been a lot who have approached me very quietly and been like, hey, I lost my dad last year and I really want to, and so I don't want to make money doing that. I want to do that just because I enjoy it and it brings people a lot of joy.
Yeah.
But the meat and potatoes of my involvement is going to continue to be sustainable, paradigm shifting stuff. Stuff that in an inspired moment, if I can get an idea and I can cultivate the right ingredients and attract the right individuals who can help me build something better for everybody, I'm going to do it. I've done it thus far. It is coming along perfectly and unexpectedly, like kismet shit that you couldn't even make up. I mean, I'm gonna have to write a book about how just getting to this point has happened, because it would help somebody believe in the synchronicity of the way miraculous shit happens. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is.
We've kind of lost that enthusiasm for, you know, excited, yay, like I can do it. I have the ability. We've lost the inspiration for a lot of stuff. And I've regained it through just a very specific practice of really trusting that if I have a compassionate mindset throughout all of my pursuits and a little bit of an agenda to better something that already exists and to be as inclusive as possible, that it's going to work out well.
Yes.
And I'll learn along the way. Even if the project is a complete flop, I don't care, because I will have learned so much that I can build the next thing. It's going to be even better for everybody.
There we go.
So I'm not out to like, I'm not in the same mindset of like, I got to make a buck.
Yeah.
I don't care about launching an NFT and putting a big fat price tag on it. That's not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
It's not even going to help me, because then I get a quick meal ticket. Great. Money is a fake something that somebody else made up for me to compare my worth to other people, depending on this dollar sign. It's a made up system. Money's not real. So it's
so true.
It's funny to like, you know, I want to create something bigger than money.
I love that.
Just better. I think that's what we're all kind of doing. We've been so assigned that there's a value to each thing that we do, and everybody has to agree on that value. And that's where the inspiration for me came in with NFTs, because I thought NFTs at the beginning were just a silly thing that, how could you find this picture, this weird digitization that you can only look at on a black rectangle, $300,000? Because I'm like, that's dumb. But I'm like, how am I to assign a value to something that is not of that value to me? my material that I produce and that I'm most known for is not valuable to others who do not watch what I produce.
Of course.
So who am I to say what's valuable and what's not? It's all subjective, and I needed to learn that. That was a really important one for me.
That's a big learning and growing thing, right? Right, because it's like
I had to get over it. I really thought that I was some kind of value setter.
100%.
I'm like, no, I'm wrong. I'm actually
and that's
completely
good,
wrong.
and that's like
I
the
love
beautiful
that.
thing. It's like I love being wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's like so important to be able to learn and grow and become a better human being. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly changing, right? It's just like I'm a huge fan of Shepherd Fairy Obey Art, right? I absolutely love it. I spend tons of money on it. But the next person might think these things are fucking stupid, right? But at the end of the day, it's like what I perceive to be valuable, right? And what I like is just my perception, right? And everyone can have their own perception. And so, seeing that evolution with you from like thinking NFTs are silly to now like understanding like the full technology behind it, right, is very empowering, right? And especially from a creator standpoint, right? Having that residual based income, especially in a world where things like, PH and all the other sites, right, just totally take advantage of the creator, which is disgusting, right? Sorry.
And it's doing its best based on where it is.
Yeah.
Because it has been, as an entity, has been rewarded.
Yes, it has.
By its users to continue this behavior.
Yeah.
It takes a new paradigm to step in and say, hey, PH, I have an idea for you.
Yes.
This is how your brand is going to survive.
Yeah.
And so not everybody's going to jump on board because there's this really weird adhesive kind of stickiness to the mentality of what works. Don't fix it. Don't fix what's not broken.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
But it is subtly suggesting that most things are broken.
Hell yeah. pH is definitely broken.
And why would you not, hey, there's something new here. I got an idea. And so that's how everything's going to start to come about.
100%.
There's going to immediately be that gatekeeper that's going to say, no, we've done this for decades and generations and it's never been different.
Yeah.
Like Thanksgiving,
Yes, which
we
is
have
crazy.
to have a turkey. We must have a turkey. Everyone must sit down at the same table and then stuff ourselves silly. Like the traditions kind of have to die.
Of course.
Sometimes.
They have to evolve, change, right?
They got to change.
They have to, right? They can't always stay the same, right?
Yeah.
What is your thoughts though with like trying to compete with like OnlyFans, right? You're on OnlyFans?
I'm on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Everybody's on OnlyFans.
Yes.
It's great until it's not.
Yeah.
Just like anything else.
Correct.
We at one point were smoking in restaurants.
Correct. That's so true. In hospitals.
In hospitals, doctors.
Crazy.
Remember the ads?
Yes.
Doctors smoke Marlboros or whatever at Camels.
What the heck?
It's
That's
clean
crazy.
as doctor
Pull
prescribed.
up some of that stuff, like old
I love those graphics.
doctor cigarette ads, right? This is crazy.
It's crazy. So it only works until it stops working.
100%.
And one of the things that I kind of find a little contradictory about a platform, a subscription, monthly based subscription.
Yes.
Oh my God,
here
I
we
love
go.
you so much.
Doctor
Beautiful
ordered.
women.
Oh my gosh.
And notice they're all white.
Yes, they are all white. And what the hell is that stupid thing on his head?
So weird.
Like, why did a doctor have to wear is that a mirror or something?
It's a pizza cutter.
Yeah, literally. It is a pizza cutter. Look at this. It's just if you're just listening, we're watching and we're looking at images of like doctors. It says, as your dentist, I would recommend Vicroys, which was an old cigarette. Vicroys, the filtered smoke.
Get him smoking in bed.
Yeah, and like this is crazy, and this was not that long ago.
No.
I even seatbelts in cars.
I know.
The car manufacturing business fought it tooth and nail, right? And now, flash forward, it's all about safety ratings.
And yet, why am I capped at 70 miles an hour, but the car can go 120?
Exactly.
It depends on whose pocket it lines.
Of course.
So like with OnlyFans, you can still lift any one of my videos from my platform that I shot, that I contributed money and time and effort into doing.
What?
Nobody paid me for that. You lift the video, you plop it up on Pornhub. And it's happened enough times to know that people can do this.
And wait, Pornhub doesn't take it down?
They do. They do.
But
they have a really proper and effective way to get your videos taken down. Yes.
Good.
It's kind of foolproof. You just send in your info. Yes, this is me. Here's my info. This is a video I didn't, and they pull it right down.
Well, why did they just allow anyone to like that? That's crazy.
Exactly. So that is on its way out.
Yeah.
I believe there was something that they just started doing that didn't allow just anybody. I've noticed a dramatic lessening of my videos being posted,
Good.
which is really cool.
Yes.
So it is helping combat piracy, but that's one of the only most reliable household name websites that does follow that that protocol if you need to take down your video. Other sites, you literally have to message them for weeks, sometimes even having an attorney send them a letter to take down the video.
And that costs you money.
Yeah. And
that's
time.
crazy. And time. And like, that should be illegal.
It's silly. It should be. If you had a, what's a really famous movie, Titanic.
Yes.
You can't just bootleg Titanic and have a public showing and post it on your website. Come watch Titanic.
No.
Because you'd be blasted.
100%.
Legally, you'd be fined and all this stuff.
Yes.
So those same protections are not afforded to the adult industry.
And that's bullshit.
So we got to find a new way around that.
Yes. Yeah. Things have to change. They have to change. The power needs to be put back in the creator's hands.
For sure.
And so I'm really, really excited about this. 2 more questions before we wrap this up, right? Very first thing was last time we spoke about aliens, right? Yeah. And you were talking about like pointing laser beams at the sky. Can you tell me that? Because I've tried to repeat the fucking story and I don't remember to a T.
There've been a lot of other experiences in the past since I've seen you last.
Yes, there has been.
A lot.
All right.
A lot. It seems like, and I've talked to a couple of my neighbors that I've gotten in touch with through Reiki. Actually, I posted in my neighborhood, hey, I'm a Reiki master. If anyone in the community would like Reiki session free of charge, here's, let me know, send me a message and we'll discuss a time and place. So I've met a lot of my neighbors that way, which has been really wonderful and organic. And several of the neighbors, they're like, what else are you into? And of course I'm like, well, how far do you want to go?
Yeah.
So it's become a pretty regular thing. The sky activity in our neighborhood is really prevalent and really well known.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool to be able to go up to the mountaintop and to meditate for 20 minutes and to see an immediate craft appear, which is really cool. What? Tons of pictures and video from all of our neighbors. My mom lives about 8 minutes from me. She's in the same book. Just tons of sightings all night long. It is amazing.
Wait, what? Really?
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's really cool.
Can you actually like see the craft?
You can physically see it with your eyes and you can get pictures and video with your phone.
And what do they look like?
All different shapes and sizes. I mean, some are questionable. Some are like, is that a drone? Is that one of ours?
Yeah.
Others are most definitely not ours. I never forget, a couple of years ago, I was out in Sedona, and I had this really weird thing. I had a rental car, went out there by myself for a little solo birthday trip, and I got this inclination to pull over on a mountain road. Super tiny little turnout. I pulled off, and I look, and there's a white craft. You can tell it's far, 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 far up. Really, but it had to be pretty big. And it looks about like this. It's the white, just perfectly still. I don't know how long I was there. I don't know how long I watched it. I was sat on the side of the road getting tons of video, tons of pictures. It didn't move once, did not budge. There was another couple who pulled off on the side of the road, and there's this big ravine, maybe 500 or 600 feet deep, just big, deep ravine on the side of this mountain road. And it's deep, and they're looking down there, and I can tell their English is not their primary language, and so I'm like trying to point. Like, hey, do you see what I'm seeing? And they're like, and I'm like, I'm not the only one seeing this. Like, I know I'm not so it's been stuff like that, like really.
And when you videotape, you actually see it.
I do. And I can show others and send the videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
I'll show you.
Please,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
please.
So there's just things like that it's been, with the CE5 modalities that Dr. Stephen Greer has come up with, they're pretty accurate. Like, and the more people you have in your group for the meditations and the preparatory, just relaxing and getting coherent and feeling your body and feeling safe and comfortable. And you meditate on these certain key aspects that do draw in a lot of attention.
Do you think it's that you're just like, before you meditate, you can't see it, but that they're there, but then as soon as you meditate, you see it, or the meditation brings them?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it depends on your mindset before and after. So before you meditate, you're one way. After you meditate, you're coherently different. You're definitely different. they've proven that, with
Yes.
brain scans and stuff. So I feel like that cohesion that's established in the meditative state allows us to be a little bit more receptive and compassionate to those that are different than us. And I feel like that allows us to be more receptive to new identities and new people. I don't really feel like, if they're millions of years advanced, if they're flying around in anti-gravitic, not
Yes.
even, they're popping in through densities. And,
Yes.
it's the trippiest thing when you're looking at the night sky after meditating. You see wow, that was crazy. Huge flash of light. And then all of a sudden there's this little tiny thing that's just going across your periph, really tiny. And then it turns red. And then it turns blue. And then it shoots off and is gone. I don't think that we have anything like that.
I don't think so either.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so either.
And so I don't know. There's been too many interesting things that have happened. I'm excited and ready and open, and I like to meet new people though too.
Yes.
I like people with weird faces and weird bodies. And
Yeah.
you're awesome. Let's get to know you.
Yeah.
Because that's fun. I love animals. They're becoming increasingly more aware. You see your dogs developing an ego all the time. So the whole evolutionary scale of awareness is leveling up.
100%.
And I feel like that's part of our new thing is getting off planet. And the first way to do that is to introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
Hi, we're safe. We're safe. We don't have nuclear bombs down here that we're gonna.
I think our nuclear bombs are minuscule to what if they have their technology.
They do, yeah, for sure. But they're also, they're kind of backwater technology, but they're also affecting space-time in a really consequential way. So they're kind of having to say, like you see those flyovers over a nuclear base station, and they're turning the nukes off.
Yes.
It's a demonstration. It's a, hey, stop it, or we're gonna stop. We're gonna put you in timeout.
Yeah, well, I mean,
not
that's
literally.
No, but like I totally get what you're saying. That's why it's like, Ryan Graves, Air Force pilot, was talking about before they upgraded the systems on the planes, they would be flying out and they wouldn't really see anything. But then as soon as they upgraded the radar systems, it was like all of a sudden the same patrols that they were doing now was just infested with UAPs.
The
is
new
what they're calling it.
awareness.
Yes.
They can change the terminology.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
It's a non-terrestrial based version of transportation that we can see.
Yeah.
However, they're interdimensional. They're coming in through the space-time. And if you're going to be transversing 100 light years, which you have to have a better source of transportation.
Yes.
And the only thing faster than light is thought. So if you can understand the implications of the way non-locality works, you can kind of piece together the puzzle of how space-time travel would work for an advanced civilization that's millions of years in advance.
Wow.
Look how far we've gone in the past 6,000, 8,000, 12,000.
In the past 100 years.
The past 100. The past 5.
Yes.
We're doing great.
The past 20 years, this place has changed so much. It's insane.
And we're still incredibly oppressed technologically.
Of course. Oh, 100%.
Depending on what, or based on, I should say, what they do know and what we've been handed is like, mom's got the iPhone and gives the kid a little whatever, Tamagotchi or something like that. Remember those?
Of course.
That was your first little thing to take care of. Yeah. So it's about, I feel like the new introduction to new friends that are not from here is going to be revolutionary and kind of repaving the way to understand the origin of our species, that we're essentially non-terrestrials ourselves. We're just a merge of we're just a mixing pot of genetics. And that there's a lot of things that will be explained by making friends that have a little bit more of a coherent and truthful story about the origin of the race and the planet, and a little bit more of a historical accuracy.
You think that'll ever happen?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep, I sure do.
You think we'll be here for it?
Yes.
Ooh, that'd be insane.
Yeah, it will be.
It'll
be really rocking for a lot of people's sense of self.
Do you think it brings us closer together?
Yeah, ultimately. If those who choose that, for sure.
Because
why not?
We paint these invisible borders that defines countries and nations, and all this back and forth rhetoric, and it's just like we could come so much farther.
And we can't go there, and you're offensive, and you're terrible.
And it's like there are terrible people out there, that is for sure. But like, if we just looked at each other as the human race,
Yeah.
not as Americans, Russians, Chinese,
Mhm.
like we would go so much farther,
For sure.
so much farther as a society, as a world, as a species.
I think we're at the beginning precipice of that. I think
Yeah.
we're right at the towing the line
100%.
of opening that up, and I think that's what it's that fine line between I think it was Reagan that gave that speech of what would really bring us together.
Yes, it
Another
was.
world, a
Yes.
threat from another world. I don't really think, if you look back far enough into Sumerian texts and all these recounts of pre-deluge ancient civilizations that accurately and historically kept records of how and who was going on at the time, at the beginning of the race. A lot of it's really coherent across a lot of different religions.
Yes,
I think it's pretty interesting.
it is.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that it's different retellings of the same story. And I think that
So true.
eventually we're going to get we're all going to get a really accurate, although probably albeit pretty subjective story from a lot of different groups that have been here longer.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you watch the ants in the thing
Yeah.
and and you're like, look at them go. Oh, if I would have put some water in there, what happens? Oh, look at them go. The ants aren't really aware
No.
that anyone's putting water in their little thing, their little enclosure.
And so are we aware?
We're pretty
I think
isolated.
we're the ants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think about like all of the cosmological influences, the mathematics of universal structure and things like that, and the now the knowledge of inhabitable Earth-like planets within our scope of awareness that we've become aware of.
Yeah.
Life here didn't happen just poof, or just evolution. I think it was a really strong combination of introduction and cultivation and and evolution kind of playing its own part based on the elements that are subjectively here on this planet. But you go to a different planet with different measurable time, what that planet would perceive as time, and the way gravity and all these different elements and stuff would affect the physiology of a growing being. A person cultivated on that planet would eventually grow up and evolve and reproduce and look quite different.
For sure.
If they had a more intense gravity, how do you think the structure
Yeah,
would look of that
yeah,
being,
yeah.
So I think once we can get over our otherness amongst each other, because we're all pretty freaking similar here.
Very much so. Very much so.
We can really get, and stop the speciesism and all that stuff,
Yeah.
thinking that cephalopods, because they're so different than us, can be tested on and fucked with in a laboratory.
terrible.
Weird stuff like that. We got to get over the speciesism. Then we can really start inviting in that new idea of new people.
Yeah.
Because, now that we're starting to see classifications in other countries, especially that are more respectable of sentient beings, they're classifying dolphins as non-human persons.
No shit.
With
They're
incredible
so smart.
intellect, and
They're
awareness,
so-
emotions,
Yes.
and these
Communication
relationships,
and-
dynamics between each other. They're so interconnected, so emotional and spiritual and cognizant of themselves, very self-aware. So we got to get over that thinking that, well, if it's a dolphin, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No,
Let's
it's
take
bullshit.
it and,
It's
teach
bullshit.
it to jump through hoops. That's bullshit.
It's crazy. It's crazy. People are like, well, because it'll kill babies and like rape other things. I'm like, well, no, fucking humans do that too.
They do it.
We do that too, right?
It comes with the awareness.
Of course.
It's the exploration of bodily experience. Unfortunately,
Yes.
some of that cannot be as considerate. But once we kind of come into cohesion with the rest of the planet and respectable of the planet herself, I feel like we're right at the beginning of, environmental collapse is kind of nearing awareness. Like we're starting
Sure,
to kind of
absolutely.
become like, oh shit, it's time to start acting and behaving and feeling differently.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting an introduction by a little bit of a different type of people who have a broader scope of the planet's history and the things that the planet needs so that we can have a working relationship with her.
Yeah.
And
It's amazing.
if there's anybody who's had an overview effect, for example, if you look at these lifespans of these kings that ruled in Sumerian times that were Shars, they can't even determine how long that is, but I know that's thousands of years. If there were beings at one time on this planet that lived for thousands of years and actually consequently ruled for thousands of years, What happened to that?
I think our understanding of what things like, we just look at, that we're like the greatest, time ever, like I said earlier, right? But who's to say that, look at the ancient pyramids and the Sphinx, and there's a lot of studies saying that, like especially like Graham Hancock, pointing out that these are a lot older,
much older, and much more technologically advanced than we have now.
Yeah.
In a cohesive way with the Earth's the ley lines and the energy vortexes of the Earth's, everything just created as a mechanism, as a healing mechanism. There's a lot of speculation around what purpose the pyramids serve. There's pyramids on every continent.
There's pyramids
and they're all really familiarly built, super similar.
Yeah.
So you can look at the timeline of when they were built, and was it built on older ruins, or was it an original structure? Like Giza's pretty trippy because they don't have. Well, what does it do? Well, what doesn't it do?
Yeah,
sure makes you wonder.
I mean, we don't even have. I mean, there's a lot of people say we don't even have technology to make them today.
Yeah, we don't have it.
Like, and that, how the fuck did they move those big ass things, cut them so perfectly, align them under the stars perfect? Like, it is truly, truly mind blowing to think what they did thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
So
when we were all still ding, 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 like striking rocks together to create a fire, I don't think that's where we were.
Yeah,
I think that our timeline's a little bit skewed, and that some serious information about the history of our race is being omitted.
Yeah.
And so I like to look at that because I feel like we've got some friends that are coming in to start to make themselves known, and the topic for the first time is being examined professionally by government agencies. That's not because they want to talk about these technologies that they've been funneling our tax dollars into. They have to.
Well, they have to, because now everyone has one of these.
And everybody's got some of these.
Yes.
And they're going, hey, a craft.
Yes.
I feel like it's talking to me. Like, you meditate and then you go outside and you see a triangle in the sky.
It's insane.
That's a little different.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something there.
Something. There's definitely
something there.
Whatever
it's
it is.
Blossoming.
It is.
And it is growing
Yeah.
in size and awareness. And now you talk to everybody. Everybody's heard about the new UAP.
Yes.
Thing that's become pretty mainstream media. They kind of have to do this slow drip disclosure because our time's up and we do need some help, and we have to now become aware to ask for that from those who have been around longer.
Gosh, that'd be so amazing.
Because we've been losing, 50 years goes by, we forget. We lose information, and then whatever information here's the latest narrative. Let's tell them this happened 50 years ago.
Yeah. People
who weren't alive 50 years ago are going to think that new version that someone just wrote up for them is what happened. So it's a game of telephone.
100%. That's why it's what I said earlier about history, right? It's definitely a crazy thing. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I always love talking to you. We talk about so many different great things, and you're a very smart, intellectual human being, and it's really, really nice to have these conversations. We'll definitely do them again. Where can people find closer to and all that fun stuff?
Twitter is Nicole Aniston X, verified, blue check mark on there. Don't mess with anybody who's trying to take money from you and send me an Apple gift card. I'm really Nicole, I swear.
This is so dumb.
Real Nicole Aniston, blue check mark on Instagram.
Soon to be $8 a month.
What?
You don't know about that?
No. Is it something disappointing?
No, Elon Musk is, since it's a private company now, and they're trying to just change the business model, right? Because it's pretty fucked. And so, right, Elon Musk, Tyler, you looked at it?
Yeah, this is about Twitter.
It's about Twitter, right? Yeah. So they'll be charging people with blue check marks $8 a month to be verified. So
anybody can have it?
I don't know about that. That I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't think
that's be grandfathered in.
I don't know.
to not have to pay.
No. Actually, look that up so we can state it correctly.
How interesting.
Yeah. So he's just trying to find different ways to stimulate money without trying to solely rely on bullshit ads.
Yeah, Elon Musk says he wants to charge $8 a month for Twitter's blue check verification badge.
Yeah.
No, I don't really want to.
Yeah. I think there'll be a lot of people that don't, some people that do, and whatever. Time will definitely tell.
I'm currently Nicole Aniston. I have a blue check mark and I'm not paying for it. I didn't pay for it.
And I fucking won't.
And I don't want to do that.
I mean, it is what it is. But okay, and then closer to Nicole.
Closer to Nicole.com will lead you to our Discord, and it's an open forum. We get to chit chat with members, and it's a lot more of a personal thing. More personal, more fun human interactions. But I'm all on OnlyFans as well. It's also X Nicole Aniston X. I do have some discussions on there a little bit more privately and things like that with members as well.
That's awesome.
So for now, I'm still doing Sugar Taco. Plant Butchers coming to Long Beach. I can't wait for that. I'm so excited. So just some little stuff here and there, just all just trying to create more good stuff, good healthy stuff for people.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, I definitely love that. What about Instagram?
Real Nicole Aniston. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. And I have a present for you. We got some new brushes at Ergo, so I'll be gifting those
Ergo
afterwards.
is my favorite. So I had a wet brush.
Yeah.
Just a quick little short. I had this wet brush, little detangler. It's like a little handheld thing, specifically for wet hair.
Yeah.
And I have so much hair. When you're brushing out your wet hair, it's like, but I will never go back to my wet brush because my Ergo paddle brush is so much more efficient.
There we go.
In less than a minute, with all my conditioners and all my products and layers and stuff, I can brush through my hair in less than a minute with that thing. I just love it. It's so efficient. It's amazing.
Thank you. That means a lot to us. And we're coming out with, we have like a super gentle brush now, and we're going to come out with a bigger one. So I have one of those for you. And yeah.
Right now, I love those brushes.
Thank you. It means a lot. And I know the team will love it too, hearing this. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you inviting me back up. It's
of
been
course.
a pleasure.
Absolutely. All right, people. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, night, evening, whenever you're listening to this. Yes. Boom.